Alright, hopefully this is working. At least I hope. Is this working? Loading. Oh, I believe it is. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Championship Battle Day 6. So yes, today the lovely Invisible Jung has a lovely camera, so y'all can see him just moving around today. Just a quick recap is that Day 5 is missing because the reason why Day 5 is missing is because yesterday night I could not make it, so me and Sin are going to do Day 6 first, and afterwards I'll find a time and go back to Day 5 during a weekday or something. So yeah, a bit of time skip of everyone, and hold on, let me check, have I sent this to NTT just yet? Yeah, I believe it did. So yes, hello everybody and welcome. So Sin, are you excited as the championship moves on? And hold on, it's already in, so I didn't need to show it. Are you excited for this?
Yeah, honestly, I'm really excited to see this. We've seen some really, really formidable teams this matchup, and now we're actually proceeding to. If I believe, we are actually gonna see the 2-1s matchups today.
It's actually 1-2. For 2-1, they actually.
The 1-2.
For yesterday, we've seen 2-2-0 matches and 2-1-1 matches. So for the matches today, we have 2-1-1 and 2-0-2 matches today, which was the plan. But from the news we received, Bun had WBS dropped us, so Bun has a free buy today. And now we're going to be seeing here's what's going to happen at the playoffs. The playoffs onwards, it'll be single elimination, and we'll have 3-0 for the 3-2, 3-1 for the 3-1 or 3-2 and stuff like that. And yeah, just single elimination, and then we have a match for third place, and the grand finals is a BO5, which BO5 in this meta is definitely something we should pay attention to, because they added the global bans in Koa and it has changed everything then.
Oh, absolutely. The global bans always make such a difference, because once the map changes, and if you find a map or need to play the same character again, you just can't if you had to priority pick them the last time.
Yep, so here's going to be a quick recap on amongst the 8 playoffs teams, we have 2, which is Write Your Story and Sky, already sitting at the 3-0. So moving on, we're going to have 2 apologize, allergies. 3 teams going to be in the 3-1 bracket, and 3 teams are going to be in the 3-2 bracket. And now we're going to be moving on for the next 1-1 matchup today. We have Team Wolfgang here. Let's see, Darius.
For Team Wolfgang.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Darius, Baby Lee, Glug, Sode McCom, and also, I missed it, and Kanhi. Your turn, Sin.
Yeah, for Team Gao, we have Plam, Shom, Nang, ZKIV, Hui, Mikokana, and Taylor Swift. This is the team that we've seen who is notorious for their very, very unsteady team comps, but they've managed to pull it off this far, so let's see if they can keep doing so.
Oh, now that you're talking, I remember. Aren't they the team that literally surprised us with Doctor and everything?
Mm-hmm.
I actually also
almost twice.
Now that you're talking about it, I actually remember they were the ones who surprised us with Doctor and the weirdest unconventional strategy ever. So let's see, what unconventional strategy would we potentially see today, because who knows, maybe they'll end up pull out Lucky Guy or Lawyer, or literally the entire OG team comp.
Oh gosh. Surely not. Although if they did modify it a little bit to maximize each character's strength. Maybe,
who knows? Maybe not. So, but a lot of balance changes have happened, so we'll have to see though. But honestly, the veterans here, we rarely see them play all together because they're not strong strong compared to newer units, but it's always cool to see teams going unconventional picks, especially for Team Gao. It did seem to work on them because per my memory, I think they were the team that went into overtime against Sky at, I think it was day 3. Like, I think you were also there with me, Sin. Is that Gao went to overtime with
Yeah, it
Sky.
was. I'm pretty sure Team Gao is the one that lost to Sky back there, and that's their one loss.
Yep.
But
I mean, considering it's Sky.
they're still. It is Sky, and Sky is in the 3-0 bracket, so.
Yeah, and also the other thing is because Sky is like a Koa team and all, like they entered the Call of the Abyss, and majority of the members here are similar, so it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that Sky is still very dominant. But that also means that for Team Gao, going head to head with Sky and forcing them into overtime is already very impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive. So let's see whether or not Wolfgang can beat them, or if Gao beats Wolfgang here.
Yep, it's one or the other. Currently, as both teams are at 1-1, this means one thing is that the match today will also be very important because the winning team will be in a 2-1 like better position, and the losing team would drop down to 1-2, meaning that they can only afford to lose one more match meaning that they can no longer lose one more match, and they must win their next 2 games. So this is sort of like a split over here. And hold on, I'm gonna cut it in as we are going to be heading into the. Hold on, I think I need to adjust this a bit. Oh, actually, I don't think. I think it's like this. Okay. Yep. So moving on here, we're gonna be seeing Priestess ban first, and honestly, I don't know about you, Sid, but I'm loving the fact that Team Gao has their hunter is literally Xiao Meng, the name of the hunter player.
Yeah, it's the.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Xiao is like the same name as another Koa hunter, but a mechanic ban. Honestly, with the recent meta, it makes sense because both of the current meta hunters are relatively weak to a good mechanic.
And the other thing we should we should be aware of is a magician being selected. And actually, one thing that I noted for IGL's magician is very popular because now he can vote. He can vote immediately after using the wand, his illusion. And second of all, is that his illusion can also, if the hunter hits the illusion, the magician will also get a second speed boost. And third of all, the illusion can also eat the disciple cats. So actually, the magician has been highly selected in IJL, like the ongoing IJL. So I'm not too surprised seeing it here, and we'll see how well is the magician in this meta.
Yeah, we'll see how magician fares against here, but even though magician is like a newer pick here, we've seen him actually been on the rise ever since like a few months ago. For this team comp, there's a lot really. It's a very stable team comp with Knight being somewhat of Knight is technically a rescuer and so is Mercenary. The weakest link here would be Psychologist, but even then she's tanky, especially against a hunter like Goatman.
Yeah, and speaking of all, you also mentioned what I want to say is the Goatman, because the Goatman is actually more preferred over the Hula Baloo after the nerf, and in IGL it's almost consistently Goatman first because it seems that after Hula Baloo got nerfed, he has fallen out and is now in BO2, played in BO2 rather than BO1 itself. So yeah,
actually, we might see an opera singer.
Yeah, I was about to get to that too. Is that
what?
Go ahead.
No, this is rather surprising, especially considering everything, but it does make somewhat sense. Although she might have some issues with how tanky magician and psychologist are gonna be.
For the magician though, I feel like magician here is not as good against the opera singer comparing to against the Goatman, because a good opera singer can definitely predict the magician's placement of the illusion and where did they go and get hit there. So it'll require a bit more skill for a magician against the opera singer compared to the Goatman. And if we look at this persona, I think like the magician may have a bit of a trouble considering that the magician brought flywheel effect, but flywheel effect is not exactly the best against the opera singer.
Yeah, it's not. But we are noticing that psychologist also doesn't have borrowed time, so if she doesn't get either the first or second kite, she might be in a lot of trouble if she ever gets caught out, like when the cipher gets primed or after the cipher gets popped without the speed boost.
Yeah, though that is more dependent on how it plays out because we won't know what happens in the game just yet. And honestly, another thing that we noticed at opera singer, because while Ghostman is mostly preferred in BO1 and IJL, though there are some mixes of opera singer and the shadow being played first too. So yeah, this meta, even Ghostman seems to be the preferred hunter in best of one, though there's still room of other metas, seeing that the hunters got nerfed a lot, meaning that the meta has shifted back from hunter sided to balanced. So yeah, we're going to be heading into the game with your lovely casters Invisible Jong and Sin between Wolfgang Survivor versus Gauss Hunter in best of one, game 1.
Yeah, I didn't really get to I didn't say much about their initial spawns, but with the way it's spawned in, yeah, we're gonna see Magician take the first kite. No, it's actually Psychologist. It seems they've rotated. Is it? No, I'm blind,
And
sorry.
they probably didn't rotate, but yeah. Moving on.
They did rotate, but that is Magician.
Yeah, moving on here. No, it is the Magician taking the first kite. Anyways, the first illusion has already been forced here, so Magician is sort of in a vulnerable situation for a while. Let's see, not being able to enter the pallet, which is unfortunate, because if he entered the pallet, he could have definitely slammed it down and last for at least 20 more seconds. But now the Magician is only at half health remaining very early in the game, and yes, he still has 2 illusions to work with, but how long would that help, considering that the opera singer still blink?
Yeah, once she has her blink up, it will be very difficult for him to kite that even if he has his illusion up. It's going to be up in the next 6 seconds. Unfortunately enough, though, he has his illusion, but he's being forced to use it to actually bait out blink.
Yeah. Okay, with that, the blink goes down. The good news is the Magician at least forced up blink, but considering that the cipher progress adding only around 2 ciphers, this is definitely not the best situation, because the first hit being taken from the Magician is relatively early, so this is more into the hunter's Xian Wumong's favor right now, and Xian Wumong here just patrolling around as the Knight is going to be the one in to rescue, as he's staying guard, looking to prolong the kite for even more, or like prolong the rescue. And also remember, the Magician can rebound kite too.
The Magician can rebound kite with flywheel, but considering his only pallet here has already been used up, and he no longer has any illusions. Without a body block or anything, he will go down rather fast.
Yep.
And there he goes.
Yeah, because like even though Tactical Foresight rescue gives like 8 seconds of invincible, but he had no pallets to work with and also no broken windows. And that was also what I mentioned before the game. Without broken windows, the Magician will have a very hard time against the opera singer in this game, because you need broken windows to increase the gap. But hold on, here comes the rescue. Mercer gonna go in it. Let's see what happened here, Sin.
I think this rescue is a little bit too early considering all of their cipher progress. They still don't have their third cipher down, but amazing flywheel here which prolongs his kite. He manages to put the pallet down, and since Blink is no longer online, he unfortunately takes the hit through the pallet there, but with Tide, he's drawn the opera singer out into a corner, which should buy even more time for these ciphers to pop. Meaning once he's gone, by the time opera singer finds her last target, it'll already be at 1 cipher remaining.
Yeah, though the good news among that is that the mercenary did not take any damage, so it reduced the healing time. And we can see that the psychologist was pretty smart where she retreated early on, meaning the Xian Wumong cannot find where she is and chase after her. So now Xian Wumong is in a bit of like a pause state because he don't know where the survivors are or what to do, which gave them ample time to heal each other back up. So currently, like It may look like there's only 2 ciphers remaining, but actually it's like only 1 whole cipher. And considering that everyone is
Yep.
still in full health, so there's definitely room to work with to play for a tie here for the survivors.
Yeah, there is. And actually, if you noticed a while ago, they actually managed to pull off the cipher, like pull away from the ciphers right when the opera singer was looking at the things, which gave her even more trouble finding the survivors.
But hold on, Glug is gonna get chased here, so here the mercenary, as long as he doesn't go down in too much of a fast time, will be decent enough. But oh, dangerous window. But oh, actually meant vaults through because after misses the swing. That was a very risky move by the mercenary. If he got Terror Shock there, it would have changed things entirely. But that worked out, and that is going to buy a lot of cyber progress as the knight who was decoding the last cyber is being teleported onto here. Athena Woman will be charging straight for the knight, looking to force the survivors to do something else. And here goes a tactical foresight, which unfortunately for him missed both of them.
Yep, even though he missed both of them, he actually is still able to buy a decent amount of time here, at least until the new last cipher can get to around 50% with the psychologist decoding it, it seems.
Just now, actually, what I see is that both survivors on the field right now are decoding it, and they know they have enough time because even if the knight goes down right here, they're in no hurry. They can empathy the mercenary to come and rescue, or even have the psychologist to come and rescue, depending on what they want to. It seems like the plan is to have the mercenary come rescue after using the empathy. So let's see what we'll see and what we'll choose. He can either try to cut off the merc or just harass the psychologist off the cipher.
I think the better option here would be to harass the psychologist off the cipher because, now that she no longer has her empathy, she'll be a weak target, especially since there's no borrowed time for her. If she's the one who gets stuck with the last kite now instead of the knight, she'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen now because Psychologist without borrowed time is the one taking the last kite here and is already in half health. It's dangerous because currently the survivors still have to run to either side of the cipher, so that means that Xie Wumong has all the time in the world to get the Psychologist down. Flywheel effect, unfortunately not effective enough, and there we have it. There goes the down, and once the Psychologist gets chaired, the Opera Singer can also potentially teleport back to the Knight, who also has no items, and which is exactly what's going to happen here.
Yeah, although the silver lining here is that Merc has still taken no damage from the free rescue. Since Knight has died on the other side of the pallet, this buys just that little bit more time for the psychologist to run all the way back to the last cipher. She's choosing to chair closer to middle so that she can actually get closer to the survivors, but even still, it'll be hard for her to protect both the ciphers and the chair at the same time.
Yeah,
considering she's opera singer.
Considering the fact that that was the one in higher cipher, but it's already primed, but the psychologist had to decide whether to pop it or not because the hunter's already at her face. So she's gonna pop now, but she cannot last for long. So with that, she's gonna go down, and I believe this is her second chair, but this puts the survivors in a decent enough position because her placement is very far away from the gate, and Sina Womo already used up teleport, meaning that he has to shadow leap all the way towards the front gate, but it will not be enough because we can see that the two survivors are already making out of the gate here. So this is going to be a tie, which is like a very good decent result for both sides. But honestly, if you ask me, there is like the better potential for the opera singer here is that when he realized that the psychologist has no borrowed time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that the psychologist used both traits. Used both traits.
Psychologist used both traits in the kite because the broken windows popped when she vaulted the pallets, and then she saw the flywheel.
Yeah, like once you know it, then I think it would be a better option to target the psychologist, as you can easily abuse that endgame. The issue with teleporting back is that unless you can immediately snipe down the knight and charge back straight for the psychologist, it will be highly unlikely for that play to be sufficient enough for a win, considering that the cipher at the bottom broken at that point was already 85 and 86%. It only needs to be decoded for like 10 more seconds and will be enough. So maybe the option to teleport to the knight was not the best play. also since considering that at that point of time, the knight also, at the point of time, he used up the teleport, meaning that he had no teleport endgame. At endgame, if he still had teleport in his hand, he could have teleported to the gate and got a free K. So there was a bit of misdecision making on the hunter's part. But for the survivor's part, considering how fast the first down was, this tie is definitely can be treated as half a win for them.
Yeah, this actually is a decent start for them, because at least they don't have to get a 4K. I think a 3K was definitely more realistic compared to 5 points in their next match.
Yeah, I was just checking the stream, but because actually now the hunter only needs a tie to not lose and also potentially free K or more. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is only a BO1. This means being only a BO1 means one thing is that the next match will be crucial. Any side win is going to end it immediately, or there's still the possibility of this being a tie, and we're gonna head straight into BO2, which is going to be a tie as well. So now we're just waiting on for WG's hunter to make plays, because I'm pretty sure they would do 2 rounds first before a break. But while we're at it, I'm trying to just consider what we're expecting from WG, because if we know this meta now is Ultimate BO1 most likely, because Hula Baloo just fallen off a lot after the nerf from what I've seen in IJL, so it's more of Gotoman. But this means that for Team Gao they can choose. No, I'm not even joking. They can literally choose Doctor, because Gotoman cannot do a single thing against the Doctor, because literally you normal attack her, and then by the time your attack recovery is done, she self-healed herself back up. And if you use Resentment, that would be like a huge waste of Resentment level, because she's just gonna heal herself back up every single time.
Yeah, not only that, it's just Gao has one of Gao's comfort picks is the Doctor, so we're not gonna be seeing like a rusty Doctor or one that doesn't know exactly how to use her. No, Gao will be able to actually maximize the Doctor in case that they do try to go for a Goatman counter comp. So we might be seeing more win-sided hunters, perhaps something related to map control, considering how small Red Church is and how easy it is to terrorize the survivors with it.
Actually, Opera Singer is already a very decent map control hunter, and also the thing is that if you're trying to be too extreme to counter the Goatman, you might get surprised by Opera Singer in BO1. Because while lots of hunters getting nerfed, the Opera Singer did not get nerfed at the last patch, meaning that she's still as viable as ever in BO1, which is what we seen last round, as Gao surprised everyone with the Opera Singer rather than the Ghostman. So for comfort picks, it's called comfort picks, because when you pull out, you have a decent familiar with the hunter.
Yeah. I think what we might end up seeing here, the chances of seeing a Goatman are still pretty high, but in the events that we don't see a Goatman, what else do you think Wolfgang can pull out here?
The obvious ones also all the way first are the Hula Baloo, the Shadow, and also Opera Singer, because those are the top 4. And yes, Breaking Wheel is back in this meta, but Breaking Wheel will be a bit hard on this map, considering this is a very tiny map. But another hunter I feel is good here is actually the Bonbon. The Bonbon is very much viable in this meta, considering that he got buffed. And what he got buffed is, per my memory, after he places someone on a chair, he can expand the remote bomb to act as a timer, and then expand his normal bombs to act like an acceleration. So he sort of accelerates someone off the chair, meaning that either you have to come and rescue before half, or not rescue at all, because the moment it goes over half and the time bomb explodes, the person will be eliminated instantly. So that makes Bonbon very valuable in this meta, Sin.
Mm-hmm. Before the buffs, Bonbon already used to be a very terrifying hunter to try and rescue against, but now with all of these buffs, considering what they need is a win, he's actually gonna be rather viable here.
Oh, they're in the game. Let me switch. Oh my gosh, my camera froze.
Oh gosh.
Let me see. No worries, everyone can see me. No worries, everyone can see me smiling. Lol. Anyways, I'll figure it out later. Let's hop in the game.
Yeah, let's hop into the match first.
Me when I realized my camera froze.
Yeah, we're already seeing that Seer is the first ban on the Hunter side, and they pick Embalmer and Painter. Haven't we seen this combo from Team Gao as well last time? They tried the Embalmer Painter combo.
Yeah, honestly, at this point with the amount of combos they have, let's just go into what they did not try. So let's see if Team Gao is gonna select the Doctor here if they want to full-on counter the Goatman. Maybe, maybe not, I do not know. But opting for different approach today. Gonna go with the forward. And that's actually interesting because we have not seen like a lot of forwards before, but forward definitely came back in the meta. And the other thing is that ever since the Goatman nerf, the forward is also decent against the Goatman, because even though the Goatman can easily like drop an enclosure cage on the forward to make them feel harassing, the thing is that has 40 resentment level gone. And with the nerf, Goatman's resentment level regen slower than before, meaning that every cage is precious. So just forcing out cages is already considered a win.
Yeah, instead of seeing Doctor here, we're actually gonna be seeing forward paired with Mechanic, which is a rather stable combo for Mechanic. 2 harassers is very good for her compared to other times we've seen Mechanic be pulled out here, and they didn't give her quite enough team synergy with regards to support.
Yeah, but Mechanic is a very decent combo then, because literally with all the time the force spends harassing, the Mechanic can, let's say the Mechanic goes down on the ground for harassers, and the Mechanic is safely decoding in the meantime, which is like a way they can put out the complete pressure of the Mechanic out. So I'm liking this team comp, because this team comp is also very decent against the Goatman, should Sode Macomb here plan to play it. But Sode Macomb can also play something different and surprise us entirely, such as the opera singer, Ivy, or maybe a hula baloo on his own too.
Yeah, honestly, a hullabaloo would be decent against this team comp, but no, we're just gonna go back to seeing Goatman here because he is again strong.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, he is still the number 1 in meta, but I just like to applaud for Team Gao is that even though they like to pick weird strategies in this place, they in this situation, it's definitely in favor of them, because this team comp in theory does look decent. So we'll see how this is going to play out as the spawn selections are in play. And oh my goodness, Sin, it is literally Team Gao again. There is no borrowed time.
Yeah, I think I've grown to expect this from Team Gao. They're really relying on the ability of their survivors to kite, and then weird specific synergies to catch the hunter off guard here. These spawns are actually going to play a really crucial part here, but they've chosen to spawn their Mechanic at red carpet. The thing about this is that, yes, it's close to graveyard, but also they've left the side near graveyard open, so the Mechanic can't actually go to graveyard to kite there without risking running into the hunter.
But normally whoever spawns at the red carpet would not be the Mechanic, Sin. So this is a very interesting approach here with the Mechanic spawning at the bottom, because if the hunter spawns at the right bottom, this will be a whole different story. But instead now I would reckon the Embalmer taking the first kite, and Embalmer spawning Coffin is also at the middle is also not what we expect too much, because normally we expect him to spawn towards the side and then kite his way across the middle. Because one potential thing we should note of is the Embalmer will be forced to drop the Coffin at the middle, meaning that wherever he goes down, the hunter can more easier get up to the coffin by using the help of his enclosure cages.
Yeah, and not only that, forward is actually way across the map from the mechanic, and he would have to go around the church to be able to properly support the embalmer here. So, if anything, early game, most of the support will be depending on if the embalmer chooses to decode. No, the painter chooses to decode or not. Most of the early game support might be coming from him.
Yeah, definitely, because considering that how you really deal with the Goatman is really just like support as much as possible, because Goatman does not like getting body blocked and also getting supported. Oh, but we're gonna head into the game straight away, and let's see. Keith over here probably predicted that he might get chased first as he's leaving straight away. And so the McCall will be heading straight towards Taylor Swift's mechanic, but she is actually running back towards the bot, which is not the best idea. But actually amongst all that, he was actually just tricking red light onto Kiru. And now the Embalmer will be taking the first hit, and that is a very early hit here, Sin.
Yeah, not only that, he actually takes the first hit out in the open, so I'm expecting this to be a rather instant down. And there he goes.
And we're literally talking about 30 seconds into the game, and the ciphers are like half a cipher in total. And also the coffin is literally spawned in front of the hunter's face. This is a massive, like bad situation for the survivors. I think there's definitely
not
a bit
only
of
that,
blunder.
the bot is right there. The bot is right there in front of the Goatman, but he's choosing not to. No, there he is. He's actually gonna start hitting it. Eh?
No.
Okay, yeah, he'd rather protect the chair here.
Yeah.
But that cage was rather wasted, I think.
No, he had to get the half health attack. The thing is that just now it was a bit risky. Like, he did not want to waste the resentment level, so now he's going to swap chairs on the basement or on the painter, or maybe just going to like chair the painter closer towards the embalmer and then go after the embalmer instead. Because the thing is that even though with the mechanic you can get fast ciphers, that is literally way too fast for anyone to recover, Sin.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think it was a missed opportunity for the Goatman there to not hit the walls into a way that it would make it harder for the painter to rebound kite afterwards. Excellent cage placement, actually, because with the way that it was placed, if Embalmer vaults that pallet, he would get sent right out into the open, as we saw.
Yeah, and also the fact that he put the side of the cages outside of the map, meaning that after the Embalmer passes through, he's stuck against the wall and cannot go through the cages once again. And actually, now that amongst all this, just look at this, Sin. We only have around 2 ciphers in total, and currently the Embalmer is already on his last chair, and Painter is already in half. Already been chaired once. So this is a very bad situation, because the Embalmer, back to what I was trying to say, the Embalmer getting tricked early game and running straight in the Hunter and getting a hit out in the open, and also running in the open afterwards is like very bad situation for the survivors.
And here we're gonna see the Goatman actually use his own cage to bring the Embalmer outside and into a better chair. But the thing is, this only took him further away from all of the current ciphers.
Yeah, but he is afraid of the Ford who says full football, so that actually makes sense over here. So now we see Painter's gonna take it first. Oh, actually swaps into excitement. Like, okay. Yeah, I think he swapped into excitement over here to get an instant down, because the Painter doesn't have really much to go over here. Let's see, dodges another hit. Can the Painter kite this one out? So then McCown was a bit too impatient and misses a swing. So here Painter does manage to kite out.
Now that forward's here and excitement is gone, he can actually... No, unfortunately, it's not enough time for him to get out the cage, but again, the forward is right there waiting. If the painter can just get as far away from the chair as possible, this will be... the last few ciphers, we might see it get down to 2 ciphers or 3 ciphers remaining.
Yeah, but that would be a bit of a question, because even though that's a mechanic, her main body's decoding speed is very slow right now because the painter already got chaired. And now the Macomb will be harassing the Ford, because he knows if he chooses to wait, then the Ford can wait for a long time, considering of the painter's external trait. So the Macomb will be looking to try and force the Ford onto the chair early game as a mechanic bot who is about to run out, so the mechanic can only decode on her main body, which is very, very slow, Sin.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the way that they've been distributing the cipher progress here isn't the best. They keep switching ciphers, and even though they only need to decode 3 ciphers, we actually see 5 different ciphers with decoding progress on them.
Yeah, considering the fact that they ran into each other early game, and also like with the mechanic being afraid of decoding and Embalmer ended up running in the hunter's face. That's the thing though. The fort is here now, but it won't even matter at this point because if the fort dares harass, you're asking for excitement. But the fort actually knew that, was trying to bait for it, but unfortunately, still the McCom can also follow through. So there we have it. The fort is down now, meaning the mechanic is the only survivor that's healthy in the game, and but the mechanic will be very hard to come this through. So currently for Team Gao, this is not good considering they need at least a tie. But if you get 3 or 4 men, then they're going to lose this set here, Sin.
No, because from the looks of it, Team Gao is actually just gonna get 4K'd here with the slow pallet. Ooh, unfortunately, Mechanic cannot drop the pallet in time here, but instead of using that attack recovery to run away, she's forced to stay here. Will she be able to? No, she does not opt to make it into the window, but she actually can kite out, but she kites straight into the forward cipher here. Is this miscommunication? This is absolutely some miscommunication, seeing as the mechanic led the Goatman straight to forward, reducing their chances of drawing this out.
Yeah, a bit of miscommunication, but for this game, it won't matter too much because what the survivors can really do are very limited, as it's only a matter of time before the fort goes down. But the fort can try the last of this cage. And another thing we can note that it's very noticeable how slow the regen of the resentment is after the nerf. So there we have it. Fourth going to go down, and the mechanic is the last one remaining because the 4 has no more self-heal. So once the mechanic goes down, this would be over as Team Wolfgang will be winning the set. And the thing with this hunter, with this round, is really like the first down occurred way too fast. And that's some very skillful placement of the cages. Like he placed the cage like very close towards the pallet, walks through the other side, walks a bit of distance, and goes back and appears at the other side. That is some pretty like very good, basic yet very skillful placement of how Goodman players play. So yep, congratulations to Team Wolfgang for winning this round and bringing their team to 2-1, putting their team in a very good position. And honestly, I just really want to applaud how well the Team Wolfgang played this one out, from their survivors getting a time they need to the hunter having a very skillful Goatman getting the early down to achieving the 7-2 victory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to the statistics here, and oh my goodness, the mechanic definitely tried her best because she decoded a total amount of 300%, which is almost the double of everyone else added together.
Even then, the cipher progress was not enough because the majority of Mechanic's cipher progress was interrupted and like scattered throughout ciphers, because as we see again, we're reminded of the multiple ciphers that have decoding progress on them, but not anywhere near substantial enough to actually matter.
Yeah, because the thing is that early game there was a bit of like traffic jam situation from the when Embalmer ran away, he sort of ran back in the hunter's face because he got red light tricked, and also the mechanic who was trying to decode the red carpet got chased away from the cipher by the hunter because the hunter faked raising his hand, meaning the mechanic does not dare to do it. And hold on, while we're at it, let me see if I can fix my camera. Okay, it's fixed, but
There it is.
let me see. Is it I cannot do this, or no? I can. Yes, it's fixed. Anyways, yay! Yup, I'm moving. I'm no longer a 3D model. Yay! So yeah, congratulations once again to Team Wolfgang. And currently, it's still not over yet for them because they still have to win one more match to advance. And for Team Gao, they have to win both of their remaining matches to advance, because this is a Swiss bracket, so this battle is going to continue to occur for a long time. as both teams still have a chance to advance or get eliminated, so they definitely should not let their guard down.
Yeah, one of the major risks with one of the major weaknesses that Team Gao suffered during that matchup is that they didn't properly distribute that cipher progress or communicate their rotations properly. One of the major weaknesses I've seen teams have with Red Church, even back then, before all of the meta shifts, is that when they don't communicate properly enough, they're very prone to running straight into each other, just like what we saw.
I mean, this is sort of a thing between like non-professional teams, because if their communication would not always be on par, and occasionally will have misplays like that. That's sort of a thing that is unavoidable, I guess, in one way or another.
Yeah.
So it's just really how well they try and how they bring themselves closer towards the other professionals. It's the thing. But hold on, while we're at it, there will be a quick pause. There will be like a quick pause. So hold on, as I'm. Oh my goodness, I did not prepare a pause screen. I have an idea.
No.
Let me do this. Yep. I'll pause for a bit, and we'll be back. Yep, we're back, everyone. Yep, so alright, so now that we have it, we're going to be seeing Team MT versus Team NE. I'm supposed to be on their stream right now. Oops. Anyways, for Team NE, we're going to be having Boy Baoting, Kang, Tank, Fang Yuan, Naibu, Chang Yu, and Coronet. And okay, I just realized I recognized some of these players a bit, maybe, because I think some of them are in my tournament, but you can go ahead for Mad Trollers.
For Mad Trollers, we have Ryu Noob, KZS Noob, Koa Noob, Fang Nao, Koa Prov JP, Duck Noob, and Aido.
And yeah, the number of noobs gets me every single time, I swear. The number of
it is a lot.
The number of noobs in that team.
The number of
Hold on, let me get ourselves back. Yeah. Anyways, so for those of you who are new, let's just have a quick catch up. This will be the last 1-1 sequence we have in this tournament. It's also a 1-1 versus 1-1, meaning that both teams won one and lost one. And for this match, it'll be very important because 1-2 and 2-1 literally have like a massive difference. So for both teams, wise, they definitely want to give it their all and make sure that they don't drop down to the 1-2. And let me check what's going on at the stream right now. But yeah, Metro's no exit. And now that we're talking about, from my memory, I think one of the matches we did for no exit, literally after their survivors got free K'd, their hunter successfully made a no exit for the opposing team survivor by ending a 5-0. Like, I don't know if I remember it correctly or not, but this is what I remembered for Team NE. And if that's the case, then that means that we're looking at a very strong-willed and a very calm and composed hunter.
Yeah, their hunter is actually really strong for no exit, but what we'll have to see here is if they can continue to handle the pressure, because this is a much more intense matchup compared to the previous one.
Yeah, but while we're at
there's a lot more here.
Wait, let me just check real quick. We're unmuted. Okay, so while we're at it, we're gonna be heading straight into the ever-seeming town, and we were just talking about it off camera. Is that Sin personally wants to see some new hunters, for example, the Breaking Wheel or the Bonbon, and I think your wish may become true here because we've already seen a number of Breaking Wheel on this map, because Ever-Seeming Town is always a Breaking Wheel strong map.
Yeah, we might actually be able to see it here, but this time we're seeing Corona on Hunter, banning Priestess and Mechanic as usual. For the first picks, we have First Officer and Psychologist, which is honestly pretty standard for an anti-Goatman team comp nowadays.
Well, for Corona, the last time I seen him in my tournament, he plays Dream Witch, Opera Singer, and also the Shadow. But in very early, he also plays the Breaking Wheel, and considering that the Psychologist is like very afraid of the Breaking Wheel, this might be a possibility here. So for Team MT, the thing with this meta is that you also have to be very careful to not get surprised by Breaking Wheel, which is why we're seeing this rather interesting team comp as we're seeing the Prospector and the Enchantress. Enchantress is actually very strong against the Goldman because can gain her stun slowly, and also the other thing is to force the Goldman to waste resentment level. So for Coronate, if he has a Goldman, he may have to consider. And for the Breaking Wheel also does not like the Enchantress. So this Enchantress pick from Mad Trollers is definitely a very smart decision.
Yeah, with the double harasser comp, really tanky psychologist, and then a rescuer here. Perhaps if we ever see a Goatman, his first pick might be either the Prospector or the First Officer himself. But if it's not a Goatman, the only other hunter that counters this specific team comp might again be Again, breaking wheel. We've seen, I think this might be our third if we ever do see it.
Definitely. It might be a breaking wheel, but keyword might because we do not know. It's been a while since I myself saw Corone. Maybe someone else like seen him in other tournaments, but for me, I am not certain. So yeah, a breaking wheel is always an option. If he has Goldman or Hula Baloo, it can be played out. And I know the fact that he has the shadow, but the shadow may be a bit of a problem here because the psychologist, meaning that it'll be hard to down the psychologist because she has empathy and take an extra hit, and the prospector have magnets to work with. So probably it's between. Oh! Go for a unprecedented pick and the wax artist. But actually, it does make sense because the wax artist actually is very good against both the prospector and the enchantress, and in some way or another, the first officer too.
Yup. If we see with this wax artist, the only characters that won't really be affected by him will technically be first officer because psychologist just has a really hard time against hunters who have longer distance abilities because she has nothing to do against that.
Yep. The thing is that if you're facing against a wax artist, you want him to get the full presence slower because once he hits full presence against an enchantress, every time the enchantress stuns, it'll be adding hot wax onto herself and making herself go down even faster. So that's one thing we should look forward to. So here we see the survivors dancing around, but having someone spawning in the graveyard immediately, I don't know if that's the best idea. Because for Corone, he can just spawn at the left and lock the cipher at the graveyard, forcing the psychologist to run out and waste some time.
Yeah, either that or just waste even more time by continuing to stay there. But he's actually gonna spawn here closer to the Enchantress. So we might actually see Enchantress take the first kite since she's not exactly the best against Wax Artist.
Yeah, we established that just now she's not the best. In fact, she's very weak against the wax artist. I mean, because the thing is that as I noticed, every time the Real Noob tries to use the stun, she'll be adding wax onto herself, meaning it'll be faster for her to get stunned. So for Real Noob, let's see. Oh, the fortunate thing is that she has both the flywheel effect and the broken windows, meaning that the broken windows can increase distance between the wax artist and her, and she has one flywheel effect chance to negate 100 wax. So how well does she kite is going to be the key of this game.
Yeah, I think her best option here would be to at least use flywheel before she uses any of her stuns and try to opt for the triple stun rather than the single stuns.
Yep, definitely because the single stuns are not going to work in her favor. But if she tries to target the triple stun, the question is, can she get to triple stun? Because without using the single stuns, it might be a bit hard to save up to a triple amount of stuns. As we're going to be heading into the game straight away, I'm your caster, Invisible Joan. Joined by me is Sin, and we're going to be casting Mad Troller's Further No Exit. So let's just wait till the game starts. Yeah.
Here, in regards to being able to use her triple stun, it might. Oh, yeah, we're seeing a pause, but again, back to that, we might see her take a hit to actually get the third one, but in the case that we see her get her kite out the first two stuns, it'll already be enough for her to get that third one once she takes a hit, and that should be enough to buy her even more time, or at least try to kite out a blink if the wax artist does bring blink.
Yeah, actually it was just too fast. I didn't even get the chance to see what the Corone bring, but I would imagine maybe it's the warp. Actually, Wax Artist works very decent well with the warp too, because the thing with Wax Artist is that he's not really that afraid of palette mine games. He's more afraid of getting transitional kited, and the warp being introduced sort of negated one of the weakness that the Wax Artists have. So here for Enchantress, I'm trying to think how can the Enchantress kite this one out, because the transitional kite will not work that well, so the Enchantress will be looking to either get a lot of pallets done, or during kiting she'll be rotating around the pallets and the terrain so much that the wax artist will never have a good chance to add a lot of wax on her.
Yeah, that's a possible outcome for this, but we'll just... It's very iffy here depending on how much ability the Enchantress has to rock kite this, considering she is in one of the best areas on the map, but it is one of the more open kiting areas, which will be bad in terms of actually trying to avoid the wax. If she tries to transition towards two-story or somewhere with more walls, she'll interrupt her teammates' decoding progress.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. She probably has to drop the pallet at the center over there and then rotate back to the one pallet, one window where the hunters spawn at, because that is a place that has high walls that can block off the wax for a bit. Because if he tries to run in the open or the two-story there, those are the low wall areas, then the wax artist can easily get a lot of wax on her, and then this will be a massive trouble for the Enchantress.
Yeah, the only issue now is how much can she actually maneuver without interrupting her teammates' decoding progress. We're already seeing that the first officer is being forced to rotate out, as well as her. But
oh, there we have it.
Enchantress already taking the first kite, and we're seeing her successfully be able to transition towards the S pallets, but she's actually not opting to loop this area, instead going for that other pallet. This isn't exactly the best idea because she's running straight into an open hallway where she'll actually stack up a lot of wax.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I actually feel like it would be better if she looped around this one pallet, one window for a bit first. Maybe make one loop before running to the pallet behind, because now there's not much she can really do, as she already dangerously high on wax, 92 already, so she must make this flywheel effect count. But there is the solid wax, a beautiful move from the Enchantress, able to negate it and actually getting a triple stun auto in the meantime, and is able to get on the tram. But let's see, is she getting on, or is she gonna go for a fake out? It seems like she's gonna go for a fake out here, and Corona just realized it, but fortunately he still has warp to work with, and now for Real Noob there's nowhere to go, but she definitely evaded a massive wave of danger over there.
Yeah, simply by playing that long game with the triple stun, it actually did buy her a lot of time. That's what I was talking about. Even if she goes down really quickly after pulling off the stun, it does buy enough time for at least 2 ciphers to pop. No, actually that will be 3 ciphers, because one already popped while she was kiting.
But currently though there'll be a lot of ciphers going to be harassed in this area, because Ever Saving Town open area, Wax Artist has a lot of wax to work with. But actually Corona hits the chair with a bit of missed opportunity over there, because if he got the hit, then Corona could have had full presence now. Instead, he gets the hit here and still, we cannot hear it, so I believe still does not have full presence. So that's a bit of missed opportunity.
Look at his presence bar. Look at his presence bar. He actually does have full presence now. Full presence now.
Okay, then that works. And actually, the other bad news amongst all this is that the Enchantress ran back into the middle cipher. I wanted to mention this just now, is that once the Enchantress has tied Turner, she should instantly retreat out of this area, or else there is a massive danger of the ciphers getting sealed off, because now we can see 2 ciphers being harassed at the same time, as the first officer will be coming in to rescue, and is actually going to be trying to body blocking. So let's see. There we have it, a half health, and now Real Noob will have to make the kite of the life, but considering that this is a full presence wax artist with a lot of hot wax, there's just nothing she can really do. A flywheel effect is 3 seconds before it's back.
Yeah, unfortunately her stuns, she couldn't have used her stuns there, because that'll only pile up even more hot wax. Using warp here, although it's not quite enough to properly get right onto the psychologist here. She's also in graveyard itself and away from the middle cipher, so if she goes down here, it'll be easy for the it'll be easy for either the prospector or the first officer to come and rescue while also having the others steal the code.
The fortunate thing though is this is a psychologist, so can still tank an extra hit, as it's not possible to get 2 hits on the psychologist at the same time. The bad news though is that the psychologist in theory won't be able to last too long because Corona can just seal off the window and oh my goodness.
Adverts. But yeah, I think the
other thing is that we're dealing with adverts.
Is...
But anyways, back into the game here. So yep, 93 Wax probably wants to wait out empathy for a bit. Yep, empathy is gone, the psychologist goes down though. Though the thing is that this would still be like at the survivor in position to try to play for a time because the other cipher is already back to 80% and the wax artist has no more trait. Though the thing though is that the wax artist can also play for a free man because the thing is that he can still use the hot wax to try and get like a no attack recovery, but instead he's gonna obtain to pressure the prospector by dropping the wax on them. I'm not sure if that's the best idea because this would give the first officer another free rescue into the game. So now Corona here will have to save up some wax to try and get like the wax down. So let's see, 92. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You have to look out. Oh, pop! No, not able to pop there.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, not able to force the hit and pop the cipher then. But I'm not sure if if stalling out here is gonna be the best idea because again the cipher's already primed since he's within graveyard and not on the outside of graveyard. There's no chance for him to actually harass the other cipher.
But he has a chair.
Primed.
Block the window. Yep. Blocks the window now and tries to hot wax. This is the survivors of the one like not in good position. The survivor need to find good opportunity to pop. So that was a very smart. Oh my goodness. That was a very smart move from the psychologist vaulting it, forcing the hunter to hit her. Because if the hunter does not hit just now, then they'll just pop it straight away. So now the question is if Corona can down this wax artist or rather the psychologist down fast, then he can still play for a free man. But right now it seems that he is struggling for a bit. Oh, able to get the down though. Can he make it though? Because
get the down there.
I think he can though, but he's actually going to go for a warp straight away. Little does he know, had he chosen to chair first and then teleport there, he would have gotten the win. But instead, now the gate has already been done. The survivors are in position for a tie. So that's a bit of a misplay on Corona's part because he could have just instantly chaired the psychologist because the chair is right behind him and then straight swap into teleport. Wait, does he have... Oh, never mind. My bad. He does not have the trump card. So, never mind. It's a tie anyways.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tie regardless, which means they'll be forced into overtime here.
No, that's just the first game.
Right. It's empty, not... Yeah, it's empty, not...
This is not the game just now. Then...
Oh my gosh. It's so... The matches are going by so fast.
Yeah, especially because it's BO1, the matches go by even faster. Yeah, so there we have it. It's 2-2 for the first round. So yeah, I think for Corona is that definitely he's given out some chances with the hot wax and all because if he positioned himself better, it is possible for him to try and get the hot wax down hit. And I guess in this specific game, the incident choice did not work in his favor because he ended up getting his like presence very fast into the game too.
Yeah, but again, we're seeing 2-2 scores, which puts a lot more pressure on.
Oh my
the
goodness!
Next side, which will be.
I think just now the entire time we were not streaming the screen. Oh my gosh! I swear to God,
really?
Jung is dumb. Jung is dumb. Haha.
Oh my.
Wait, let's see. Hold on, I'm just responding in the chat.
Yeah, that's alright. I think.
Yeah,
what we're gonna end up seeing is rather than.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just like stay on OBS for now rather than heading in the stream. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I apologize because this is one of the times where to switch between stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, so for those of you who were curious what happened, please go and check that NTT stream in the end, or EX stream. So yeah, I promise I'll remember next game, but moving on to that is that just now for the game just now, actually, you know what, let's just use NTT stream for now, so that we can show the viewers what they missed.
Yeah, let's just show it here. It was actually pretty close up until the psychologist managed to kite out the wax artist within the graveyard itself. I think one of their biggest strengths here compared to what happened in Gao's match was the cipher distribution. Again, there's no stray decoding progress, and the cipher placement is actually working in their favor rather than in Corona's favor.
Yeah, but honestly, the psychologist pick is definitely very smart, because literally if it's anyone else, they could not have survived the hot wax and then the normal wax at the same time. It really has to be the psychologist that's going to be working over here, and
Absolutely.
because for other survivors, literally they will have gone down instantly in one hot wax and one basic attack, and that's how like a full presence wax artist eliminates survivors fast. So
even up against that has damage nullification, like let's say Seer, or perhaps, yeah, let's say Seer, it wouldn't work if he himself got chased down. He would have to time his owl perfectly, but with this slight delay, it's gonna be really hard, because wax artists are known for having to bait out the owl with the wax.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that I'm not certain if his decision here is necessarily the best, because when he goes to hot wax, the survivors could instantly popped and then ask the officer to go in, charge in for rescue. So, but yeah, here is a very good play from Corone. Just hot wax downing the psychologist. Maybe it would be better if he chaired him back onto like the same chair that was before. Because if he's gonna chair the graveyard, there are pallets for the survivors to work with, and then they can easily make a very good timing with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that their better option here would have been to chase the psychologist outside, because again, these two pallets are here, and like you mentioned before, she has the pallet to force the hunter to actually hit her rather than have to force them to wait out the cipher pop and waste even more resources here.
Yep. Yeah, and in the end, the psychologist just lasts up enough time, and literally, if Corone had the trump card, then everything would have been different here, because he could have swapped and then go for the win. But unfortunately for him, he did not have trump card. Since it was insolence, then yeah, there's nothing he could have really done. And they're starting right now, so let's move. Wait, double check. Okay, we're good. Okay, Jung is not dumb this time. So back into the game, we have Acrobat and Ford being selected. Oh yeah, for Sin, Ford is definitely in the meta now, as we're seeing a lot of Ford early selections here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're not wrong, especially considering what we saw last time from the forwards of I'm not sure which team it was, but there was a forward that we saw in last time's match, day 4's matchups, where the forward absolutely carried that game with all of the harass that was going on.
But we're seeing Toy Merchant and Novelist. That's a very interesting thing, though. Novelist is definitely workable. Toy Merchant, if this is still the Ghostman meta, then this might not be the best, because for Toy Merchant, there might be a surprise where you're flying through, and then you fly back into the hunter's face.
Yeah, for other survivors, it's gonna be really bad, but for Toy Merchant herself, as long as she gets that height bonus, she'll actually be able to at least drag out a couple of seconds with the glider.
Yep. But the thing is, though, we do have the 4, and 4 is pretty much in the meta, unless the hunter plays Opera Singer. But Opera Singer is not necessarily the best an ever-seeming town because there are some open areas for the survivors to work with. So let's see though, because in this game, for match trollers, ideally they will want to win because with a 2-2 score, it means that any side breaking the balance is going to win the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As long all they need to get here is either they just need to get a 3 kill here, but we're actually gonna see a Ripper.
Oh, everyone in the chat. For everyone, for context, I am literally not standing on my. I'm not sitting on my seat. I'm standing up to cast this. Oh my goodness, a Ripper! Who would have expected that? Like Ripper getting a buff with them. Okay, let me check real quick what it's called. The Ripper getting a buff right now means that yes, he has gotten strong, not to the point where he's playable, like in BO1, best of 1, but he's definitely very much in the meta and viable at rank, and I am very excited seeing with the tiny foggy blades.
Honestly, yeah, with the buffed foggy blades, he will do so much. He's so much more viable compared to earlier versions of the Ripper. And with this kind of spawn point, we're actually gonna see him probably end up chasing Toy Merchant first. Toy Merchant is the kind of character that needs to be away from the hunter at the start of the match. She needs time away to actually be able to set up and maximize her own catapult. So we'll see what happens here when she has none of her own catapults to support her and can only rely on her glider in order to kite.
Yep. Okay, I just checked. It's called Freezing Fog. Let's see. Yeah, Freezing Fog, and his normal unit is Foggy Blade, Freezing Fog. Anyways, so the thing is that with Freezing Fog or the tiny Foggy Blades is that the hunter can easily use it to deal damage to the survivors while not giving the survivors any speed boost, meaning that like the survivors, or rather the hunter, can easily chip the survivor down twice without giving them any speed boost, meaning that the survivors cannot like increase the gap distance. So I'm very excited to see, because Ripper is still, the weakness of Ripper is actually still the same after the buff. He does not like transitional kiters, and he does not like being harassed or being supported, which in this game is the case because they have the 4 to work with, and the Toy Merchant is also a transitional kiter. So in theory, it's a 50-50 situation, because I do see this Survivor Team Comp having like methods to deal with the Ripper.
Yeah, what we're probably gonna end up seeing here is they're gonna keep the novelist on 2-story, and the Toy Merchant will have to find somewhere else to kite, try to put down a catapult as early as possible. Oh, we're gonna see a pause, but
and also enter
again,
the pause as early as possible.
We're gonna see the Toy Merchant try to actually make sure the hunter is on her, but she's not gonna put any rushed catapults down to gain distance, probably just to make sure it's actually her being chased instead of the novelist, because in this case that would be better for them, rather than if novelist were to take a kite, and he would not have the same transitional utility as Toy Merchant here.
Well, this time I'm not swapping back in case I forget. Anyways, like now that we're at it, like I'm gonna mention something about the Ripper. Is I've seen plays where after you manage to trap them, like let's say in a narrow pallet area, then you can slowly use your Foggy Blades, like Freezing Fog, to take them. Hold on, there's already one Freezing Fog that already got hit, but we're going to get hit into another pause here. So okay, let's just talk about this real quick. Is that the fact that the Ripper managed to use the Freezing Fog to chip the Toy Merchant. And the difference comparing to this with others is that the survivors get no speed boost for this, meaning that the Ripper can still easily catch up. And the Ripper, per my memory, has a decent amount of moving speed, so the Ripper can try to like chase her down on plain foot, on raw foot, and get another mini foggy blade, and there we have it. That will be the down, Sin.
Yeah, and not only that, once he gets his first presence, it'll actually be so much faster since if I'm remembering this correctly, they gave him a very slight buff to his speed whenever he's in the invisible mode.
I'm not sure if they gave him that, but I do know is that the moment after he chairs a survivor and all, there will be like a quick fog zone that they'll form instantly, meaning that the Ripper,
Mm-hmm.
after chairing someone, they do not need to use their foggy blade to turn back into invisible, as they can already do that themselves. So that's just a thing to note of. And the other thing we should note of is that with the help of the wait, what's that called again? With the freezing fog, with the help of the freezing fog, the Ripper has the ability to go and cut off someone far because they can use a foggy blade without giving the survivors any speed boost, meaning it's entirely possible to get two freezing fog blades on them in a row. No speed boost and normal attack, and boom, they're down. So the Ripper is a force to be reckoned with now, ladies and gentlemen. Do not count it out yet, as it has fallen out for the meta for a long time. But now him coming back in the meta is a reality.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an amazing day for all of the Ripper fans, and we're gonna see an unpause here. Let's see how the antiquarian, not antiquarian,
Toy
let's see
Merchant.
how the toy merchant deals with the thing here. She'll take another freezing fog, but she does manage to get onto the catapult. Although this will not be enough distance for her to
Oh,
actually. No, it actually will be
tramp.
because she's able to get
Oh,
all the way to the graveyard and also dodge another foggy blade, although she might take no, she's actually far enough to not take an attack over the window. Although now the question is, was she able to utilize the pallets here properly? She'll use another catapult to get out of graveyard and force the hunter to
warp.
vault
That's
over
warp.
the thing, or use warp actually to cut her off
There's
here.
the flywheel. Hold on. This will be a mind game. Oh, actually, a very nice mind game from both ends over here. The toy merchant managing to like use the flywheel effect and to like evade the hit. But the Ripper was also very smart in how he uses only like one freezing fog, meaning that even if the toy merchant like dodges the first one, he still has another freezing fog to get that down. That is a very good mind game on both ends. And now Tank's Novelist here being a rescue, and we see how good the Novelist is at rescuing with the swapping positions. But there is still some foggy base to look out of. Novelist is going to take the first one, the second one. Hold on, can he still make it? Flywheel effect is going to come into play, and the toy merchant blocked that hit. So that is actually a very close call on both ends because the Novelist could have failed the rescue, but very well placed type like flywheel effect allowed him to still pull it off after eating two freezing fogs in a row.
Yeah, this is exactly why Ripper is so much more viable now, because back then if you miss your first Foggy Blade, there's also the chance that your hit would register on the chair itself and would not actually do anything impactful. But now the novelist is forced to use flywheel, and the toy merchant doesn't have any attack recovery to start off her rebound kite with, so of course she'll go down fast.
Yeah, let's see if the survivors are planning to rescue again, because the fort still has Ty Turner, though there is always the risk of coming into rescue, seeing that the Ripper does have a camming ability now, but Ford is gonna go for it anyway, so let's see. Oh, misses, fails to dodge the first one, Aiton again, but the Ford uses flywheel effect to negate that, so now the Toy Merchant will be going down without rebound kite, and the Hunter will have the information that the Fort does not have borrow time in this game. But we actually see that the Fort is actually nearby, as the Fort is trying to harass because the Ripper having insolence and detention means that he has no trump card as well, but gonna go for it. Can he get the stun off? Dodges a balloon attack, and there we have it. That's a very good play on the Ford, making like a turn while trying to stun and making another stun over here, giving the Toy Merchant ample time for a rebound kite. That is a very good move on the Ford, forcing the warp out. And oh my goodness, that's another good play.
An amazing flywheel! Amazing flywheel from the toy merchant here. Another stun which allows her to go around the hunter and straight towards the window. The tram is
Oh,
right here, and unfortunately she's not able to avoid that hit over the window, but if she could have avoided that, she would have been able to ride the tram, in which case the hunter could not do anything about that. Here she'll be chaired out in the open, and that will be her last chair. I don't understand I don't understand what their acrobat Kang is doing right outside, but now he will be taking the second kite, but there is only one cipher remaining and it's at 40%.
Yeah, I'm not certain either. That's not the best move, but oh, very good flower effect from Kang. It seems that this team from No Exit is very good at using the flower effects to negate the Foggy Blades over here. That's very good. As now Kang will be continuing taking this kite, looking to prolong, and actually this time we'll be taking a chip damage over here though. But let's see what will like the Hunter's next choice be, because the Cypher's about to be enough. It seems that he wants to go and stop the Cypher from being done. But the thing though is that the Cyphers will be primed, though the Hunter can also try and use the Freezing Fox to chip the Novelist down. So let's see how this will happen. Yep, there we have it, one chip. But the thing is that with the fact that the Novelist is near full health, he can definitely eat as many Foggy Blades or Freezing Fox as he wants.
Yeah, and not only that, he actually has his page to work with here, which will no, here the hunter decides to use a normal Foggy Blade just to actually get more HP down instead, and since he no longer has any abilities to work with, he'll go down here, but it's far enough from the other two that it'll force out the Ripper to use Warp just to get to the other two. Nope, they actually escape here, so that's another tie.
Yep. Yeah, yep, this is going to be an overtime sin, and I think you jinxed it when you said overtime at the first half.
I might have jinxed it by accidentally saying overtime a while ago, yeah.
Oops. Oh my gosh, my camera. Let's see, wait, is it activated? Activate. Wait, what? Alright, while I try to get my camera back on. Yeah, but honestly I feel like that Ford played the stun, like the Ford is definitely like a very key, because I felt like if the Toy Merchant just got eliminated, the Ford could have charged out and tried to like still play for a free man, because at that point the Cyphers are beyond enough. But the Ford, through that move over there, has dragged a lot of crucial time that made the survivors in position of trying to get like a free, like to get a tie over there.
Now this is just now we're gonna be forced. The tie really right there was actually mainly constituted by the amazing kite from the Toy Merchant, and not only that, it's also the forward's assistance on the second. Oh.
Yeah.
Go forward assistance on the second.
Right, yeah.
Second down, meaning.
Oh my god.
Meaning that it extends time enough for that Toy Merchant to actually get a decent second rebound kite up, and that was enough to buy a lot of ciphers actually. If I'm remembering correctly, that was actually a 4.5 cipher kite.
Not exactly 4. Yeah, it's a 4.5, and it's a 4.5 if we consider what happened in the end, though. So yeah, now we're gonna force into overtime, but yeah, the Ford is definitely like the key, because I felt like without the Ford, the Hunter could have tried to go for a 2 or 3 man. So now that we're at it though, overtime means that you can no longer play the Hunter you played before. So no Wax Artist, no Doctor, or no Wax Artist, and also
no Ripper.
Yeah, no Ripper. Yeah. My brain's faulty, but just know a lot of stuff that we've already seen before though. So it's going to be like a real test on how good and how much your character pool is.
Yeah, we're gonna see any like one tricks or hunters that have their second backup hunter be easily countered by like meta picks. If their backup hunter is a goat man here, we might end up seeing like a relatively counter comp.
It's definitely possible though, but we do not know, because like with them participating in these tournaments, I believe that they definitely like have a lot of hunter picks that they can choose from here. So I feel like anything is still possible then.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything is still possible. After all they have to do is bite. If they manage to get a winning pace, all they have to do is actually get it. They still also have to pay attention to their time. So if they're still losing, they just have to buy as to get it done as quickly as possible, or buy out as much time as possible, depending on what side they're on.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true. And honestly, in overtime, like whoever comes first is always going to be the key, because you also have to consider to like get the exit as fast as possible, or also like drag as much time as possible if you're the hunter. So that means the hunters like the shadow will be very strong in overtime because they are like notorious for long games. Hermit is notorious for long games and all. So maybe,
yeah, but we also saw what happened last time we saw Hermit in overtime. Like you mentioned on day 4, Hermit is a very high risk, high reward hunter, and that time we saw actually a 1 kill.
Yeah, like
Hermit.
we did see that happen in one specific game. So yeah, definitely anything is possible. But I was just trying to say that hunters that can drag long games are very strong at overtime. So, because once we enter overtime, really the strength of hunters have swapped, because I feel like the shadow is a very good pick, because she is like definitely playable for a time, and she can drag a lot of time, especially endgame, because endgame with Ivy, with her like blocking off the gates and anything, is almost like giving even more free time.
Yeah, we're just gonna see a lot of time stallers here.
Yeah, for the survivors, maybe we'll see more decoders as before, because we can see that once we enter overtime, they will choose some very fast decoding team comp just to make sure they escape faster. And oh, we're in it. So give me a second.
Yep, there it is for first ban. We're actually gonna see Priestess on Chinatown, which does make sense. I'm pretty sure these hunters don't want to deal with. I'm pretty sure no sane hunter on Earth would want to deal with a priestess on a big map. We're seeing the survivors ban Breaking Wheel, which makes sense because they don't want to see a fast kill, but
and also Breaking
also
Wheel. Breaking Wheel is also strong on this map too.
Yeah, Breaking Wheel is much stronger on this map compared to someone like Ivy, who doesn't have as much control. But it is still better than our previous long game map control queen, Dream Witch.
But honestly, like now that we're talking about long games, I literally remember a game in Koa that dragged for over like 25 minutes.
Oh man.
Yeah, but alright, back to the game here. Prospector has been banned here, which is a very smart move because like Prospector has been selected rather, because the Prospector is very, very good against the Shadow, and as we were talking just now, I think the Shadow will be a very strong hunter choice in overtime here, which is why they're already preventing the Shadow from appearing through the selection of the Prospector.
Yeah, but still, we could still see, if they're not gonna choose a healer here, we might still end up seeing a Hermit. But again, that comes with the associated risk of what we saw last time with the Hermit pick. With the ban of a Barmaid, this basically does solidify, at least to me, it solidifies the chance of this being a Hermit, because Hermit is extremely scared of healers, like Barmaid.
Well,
not so much of psychologists, but...
If you ask me, I feel like this might be the Dream Witch more than... It might be a Dream Witch though. I mean, Hermit's possible with the Mech and a Barmaid ban, but I'm not certain if Corone has the Hermit. Like, I know that Corone has a Dream Witch, and if Corone does have a Dream Witch, the Barmaid ban makes sense over here though. But if Corone is considering a Dream Witch, the mechanic ban might be a bit of a question mark. But yeah, I'm just throwing it out. It's possible that Corone still wants to like deal with the, like we choose the Ivy and say screw it, I'll deal with the Prospector too.
Yeah, but like as you mentioned before, I remember that you said I remember now that Corona has a Dream Witch, and because of Warp, it's actually a lot easier to counter the weakness of not being able to move around on the map as much as you'd like to on a Dream Witch. Like one of her major weaknesses here is that the map is so big and it's hard to actually properly sandwich. But yeah, Hermit.
So Corona does indeed have a hermit. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I was just not certain if Corona has a hermit. But yeah, oh my goodness.
Advert.
Adverts. Alright, no. Alright, I'm going to clarify, everyone. This tournament is not sponsored, and I have not been paid to give these adverts. Anyways,
we're not paid for these. This is just YouTube adverts.
just YouTube being YouTube. What can I say, everyone in the chat? So now that we're at it, like I've already established it very clear that Hermit is a very high risk, high reward character. And the other thing though is that the Prospector's magnets can cancel out the stuns if positioned correctly. So for Corone, if he wants to chase the Prospector, he has to be very careful in how he approaches the stun, or else the stun might get cancelled by the Prospector magnets.
Yeah, that's gonna be a rather difficult issue for the Hermit to counter here. But since he's going to spawn right in the middle of the other three, he has his choice to pick between the Prospector and the Acrobat here instead.
Yeah, Prospector is weaker early game compared to Acrobat, who has all the items in use. So ideally, he can also chase the Acrobat first, but that is really up to him though. And with this spawn, he's gonna lock the Cypher at the hotel, meaning that the Magician must transition back out here to sort of like delay them in more time. And also, like Hermit, as we know already, Hermit is literally like the king of Dragon game and notorious for his long games. So Corone's plan to drag time is definitely done. The question is how many kills can he get in this game? Because there are actually no healers in this game though, so this has the potential to work in his favor.
Yeah, and not only that, but actually the Mercenary is one of the rescuers with like the slowest healing speed of our current rescuer pool. Although he does have the additional perk of being slightly more stable against a hermit who does not like transitional kiting when he doesn't have enough presence.
Yep, yeah, definitely he does not like transitional kiting too, but over here in this specific team comp, there are not a lot of transitional kiting because the items from the survivors are more used at like close range battle rather than transitional kiting though. But anyways, we're going to be heading into the game straight away. I'm your caster, Invisible Jong, and joined by me is going to be Sin. As we're going to head into the game, Corona will be looking to connect the ciphers instantly, just to slow down the decoding speed, and let's see who will be his first target, as currently with this direction, it might be the Prospector.
Yeah, it looks as if the hunter is heading towards the prospector, but he can't seem to catch on to the prospector's trails. So instead here he's gonna be making a U-turn and going for the the mercenary.
I mean, actually Hermit can chase the mercenary too. Ooh, got the first stun, but I don't think it will do him much good over here. Oh, let's see, got the first stun. There we have it. Nyashi, please mute. If you want, you can come in later. Anyways, let's see. Here goes the second stun. Unfortunately, misses the second stun. If he had gotten that stun over there, could have changed things entirely, as he could have gotten the first hit. But now he'll be forced to chase a real noob's magician on raw foot, and this is already not looking a good start for Corona, considering that it's already 1 minute into the game, and clearly no survivors has been hit at all.
Yeah, we're already seeing the ciphers take around like 30% of their progress, a little bit over that for each, and not even a single hit has gone through, and all of them are sharing the same color, meaning it'll take even more time to actually get the down.
Yeah, like
by the time this magician goes down,
it
might be around at least 1 or 2 ciphers will pop.
Yeah, and that was a very good flywheel effect on the magician's side. side to negate that hit. Like throughout this tournament, the flyout effects on the teams were always very good, and the Magician will be taking the first hit here, but it's already near 2 minutes into the game before this first hit. The ciphers are already near 2.5, and also currently like no one is in danger of getting down first at all, considering that everyone has 1.7 health, which is a lot. And Corone actually noticed that his attraction, or rather his miracle ability usage, is kind of inaccurate because he missed a couple of stuns that are like a straight line ahead.
Yeah, it seems as though Hermit isn't exactly one of Corone's best hunters here, but he still picked it for the sake of the time stalling ability of Hermit. But again, we might see the same pitfall of high risk, high reward on this Hermit.
Yeah, and him swapping here may not be the best, considering that the Merc only have one more able pad to work with, and a beautiful flyout effect just now to cancel the stun. So Corone here carrying, Miracle is able to get the hit here, but look at this. Honestly, literally, like, everyone is still over like half health at this point of time. But hold on, the Acrobat actually just dropped down over there, gave the Corona a bit of a chance, and a beautiful prediction over there is finally able to get the Acrobat into dangerous position, a 0.5 health more, and he will be going down.
Yeah, but if we look at the health bars for all of them, the moment anyone takes a damage while with the red charge, all of them will be in danger here.
And honestly, like, Corona picked Hermit for the stalling ability, but considering that how long he took to down someone, and he did not even manage to down anyone throughout the game, the stalling ability didn't exactly even work in his favor, considering that there are no downs to begin with. He's finally able to get his first down, but just look, it's 4 minutes into the game before his first down. The last cipher is only 30% remaining, so Corona here like is unlikely to get, very highly likely to get free escape. Should ignore the Acrobat and instantly charge at the survivors at the chair, just to force them to decode more ciphers and stall for more time.
Oh, absolutely. Since Tide Turner is active, he doesn't need to worry about healing just yet. He just needs to make sure he pressures this cipher properly enough, although he doesn't seem to be doing that. Instead, he's opting to actually chase the mercenary.
He probably wants to bring down everyone's health and also use this opportunity to force out everyone's items. But the survivors honestly are in no hurry right now, because I think they can slowly heal each other back up. Because the danger is, if one person goes down right now, this might be a completely different game. So even though they want to decode as fast as possible, it'll be safer for them to heal each other back up first. Oh, watch out, the Prospector! I was about to say, if timed correctly, he could actually cancel the attack recovery back then, but fortunately, the attack cancel recovery did not happen. So with the Prospector down, now we have another person on chair to slow down the decoding speed.
Yeah, but even then, there's 3 whole people on the match, so it's not as if they can't afford to just have at least one person on the cipher. Plus, the cipher that has the most progress is right beside the Hermit.
Yeah, so it looks like the survivors will have to decode a new cipher for now, or they can make use of the fact that all the ciphers are connected to decode another cipher, because while they healed each other back up, they did not exactly touch a new cipher, and the ciphers were at a standstill for like a very good 1 to 2 minutes there, though, Sin.
And now we're gonna see the Hermit come back onto the Acrobat, and here we might actually see a down, but there's a high chance that they're actually gonna be able to go back to the last cipher, although it will not be enough to actually get a prime since teleport is online.
Yeah, but right now, whoever takes a kite will have to try and bring Hermit away from the last cipher as much as possible, or else like they're just gonna get cipher locked. But we can see that actually in the meantime, even though these 2 survivors are gonna get chased away from the ciphers, they can easily have Aldo's Acrobat to complete it. So they have to be very careful in where they run right now.
Yeah, right now I think what Hermit's best option, considering how much progress the cipher already has, his best option now would be to disconnect every single cipher to prevent them from remotely popping the last cipher.
Yeah, but they already healed each other back up, so it's gonna be the same nonetheless. If the survivors are the one in the better position here. And now for Corona, I think his plan right now is forget about a tie. Just secure a 1-man and do not get 4-man escaped under any circumstance. That's the one thing you do not want. And oh, that was a very good pull over there from the prospectors, able to stay alive for long. And currently Corona has to commit one survivor and eliminate them. He cannot get 4-man escape here, so that's why he's going to be changing targets, because he knows that the prospector was close to the dungeon, so he has to change into someone else, which in this case it is going to be the acrobat, who has no more bombs to work with.
Yeah, not only that, the acrobat should be on his last chair here, so this at least secures him a 1-man rather than a 4-man.
Yeah, and actually he might even get more. Teleport is ready.
Yeah, teleport, it comes online right now.
Teleport.
And if he can get anything, everyone's low. Everyone's really low. Unfortunately, Flywheel saves the prospector right there, and he is going to escape 3-man.
Oh my gosh, the quality drop right at the end. But yeah, back to what I was trying to say though, is that like literally 1 or 2 seconds more he could have gotten a tie from that, and if the Hermit got a tie with such a long game, then it would be advantage for their team. But comparatively, what ends up happening is that this is a free escape. So Hermit did drag 7 minutes or more, but in order for the time to even matter, the survivors need to get a free escape too. So that would be the pressure on the survivors, is to not only get a free escape, but get it under 7 minutes. And that is, whether that works or not might be a question.
Yeah, that'll be extremely difficult for the survivors to pull off, but at least it's not such a short time span as the previous overtime Hermit we saw that was 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, 7 minutes is very hard. It's like relatively easy to escape in 7 minutes. The real issue always comes from the fact that, the real issue is always to come from the fact that you need a free escape. And because Chinatown is a big and open map, meaning that it will be harder for the survivors to try and fight for a free escape in this map. So now the pressure is definitely onto no exit survivor, because if they want to get the win, then they need to get a free escape, and they have to pull off a lot of tricks.
Oh, absolutely. And he needs to no exit needs to pull out as many of their rosters as possible. This isn't the time anymore for them to be safing strategies. They want to win this. They want to win this overtime as much as possible. Otherwise, they'll get put in such a precarious situation for their next set.
Oh, that's definitely, because 1-2 and 2-1 are literally like the difference. It's like a massive difference. In 1-2, you must win both matches. In 2-1, you only need to win one match, which is honestly like heaven and hell it could be considered. So now that we're at it, I really feel like for Corona that the Hermit choice may not be the best, considering that he did miss a couple of charges. If he wanted to waste time, he could pull out Dream Witch. He could have also pulled out some TIE Hunters and play more defensively to try and stall for time. And instead he played the Hermit, which yes, can stall a long time, but he's also like a high risk high reward, and always have the risk of getting free escaped by a long first cut.
Yeah, again, this is the second time we've seen our Hermit get 3 escapes, and I just don't think he's the best. He's not exactly the best hunter against teams that have communication, like in tournaments or competitive spaces.
Yeah, considering the fact that the survivors and literally everyone in general are stronger than before, this may not be the best over there, but yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out now, because Team No Exit are not in a good position. And meanwhile, for Team MT, they can come in safely knowing that they only need a tie to likely... Wait, hold on. Yeah, Team MT's Hunter can come in safely knowing that they only need a tie, so it means that they can select all the tie hunters and everything they need for a tie. You're currently 5 to 7, and if it's a free escape, then time will be counted. But in Chinatown, I feel like there's a lot of hunters that can potentially pull off the free escape or pull for the tie.
Yeah, there's a lot of hunters that can still pull off like
A tie.
pull off the tie here. And I think when it comes to in regards to the current meta's tie hunters, one of the major things that needs to be noted here is someone that has the ability to chase while also having the ability to move around fast enough.
Alright, Cindy, cover me for a bit. I'll grab some water. Thank you.
Yeah, alright. So our first ban, we're actually gonna see a priestess, and we're gonna see a night watch ban. This is honestly what I was expecting. I was gonna say previously that we might see a night watch, since night watch is strong on tie, and his speeds will be enough for him to get around the map. Combine that with the warp or teleport, and he'll be able to control the map pretty easily. In terms of what else the survivors need to watch out for, we might see, I'm not sure if we'll end up seeing a hullabaloo on a map like this, but we're seeing them hover over Wildling. That will be a lot of, that is pretty good for in terms of stalling out their kite time, and pair that with a mechanic, actually, yeah. They want to get that fast escape as much as possible, so being able to get those ciphers open means they need to balance out the decoding debuff that Wildling has.
Alright, I'm back.
On such a big map like Chinatown, it does depend, though, how they're able to rotate.
Okay, Novelist being banned next, huh? Well, currently I'm still thinking, like, the mechanic is definitely there to ensure that they have a faster decoding speed. And the mechanic can always, like, ensure the team's decoding speed would not be slow. But the issue is, can you protect the mechanic till the end game? That's the real question. So I would reckon that's why we're seeing the Prospector here. Because they have multiple harassers to try and save the mechanic till end game.
Not only that, this also technically just discourages the hunter from playing a really strong tie hunter like Anne here. We're seeing an axe. No, we're seeing a seer ban, and honestly, do you have any hunter you specifically want to see?
Honestly, just more unprecedented hunter, considering that Ripper of all hunters are literally sitting in the ban pick seat as we are talking. So Night Watch being banned, I think NE definitely did their research on MT's hunter, and maybe they know that it's MT hunter's main. That's why they got rid of the Night Watch here. This definitely opens up the room for the meta hunters, but that's the question of if they do have the meta hunters in play here. And we also have the like mechanic, which is the fast decoder. So here you definitely do not want the first down to be too slow, or else there is a potential issue that you might get cipher rushed.
Oh, absolutely. The cipher rush here is going to be the major issue, since the only person that's really held back in terms of decoding would be the Wildling.
Oh yeah, that definitely. The Wildling is the slower decoder, but even then he gotten like a buff where his decoding debuff went from 30% to 25%, which is definitely like much better in this meta. So we're waiting on the Hunter's pick. I'm still waiting to see. Like, I don't know why I feel like Gamekeeper might be possible just because of the Wildling and all, but literally anything else is possible. But this discourages stun hunters for sure, meaning that Disciple and Hermit himself also get discouraged. Oh, let's see. Oh, Sim,
and we're gonna see a breaking wheel.
Ask and you shall be received. And breaking wheel actually makes sense too. Breaking wheel is very good against the Wildling, because the thing with breaking wheel is that if you got the spikes on the Wildling and you use a pessimistic, you can snap the Wildling off the board while taking damage to them at the same time. So Wildling in theory is not good against the breaking wheel, and breaking wheel also loves chasing the mechanic too with its very fast chasing skills and also mobility.
Yeah, absolutely. He's able to actually chase down mechanic much easier compared to other hunters as well, because that speed allows him to catch up to the mechanic and scare her a lot more with her slower palette evolving speed.
Yep. We'll see We'll see the spawn point spawn next to the prospector. But honestly, for the breaking wheel specifically, spawn points doesn't matter too much because he can literally just switch into wheel form and roll to whoever he deems like the best chase, which in this case is going to be the mechanic. So for the mechanic, he definitely has to instantly drop. She'll definitely instantly drop the bot and run straight away as far from the bot as possible. Because even if the breaking wheel spots the bot, it'll be unlikely for him to swap into human form to get rid of the bot first, because this would be a bit waste of the breaking wheel's time.
In terms of spawn, the only really benefit that Breaking Wheel has to choosing to like actually properly thinking about his spawn point is that it will actually lock the cipher of the magician here. Meaning the magician will either have to rotate to the right or to the left. But that might interrupt whatever plans they have for rotations, actually.
Yep, so this will be the last game between these two teams, and I'm liking the fact that with the Swiss stage, it honestly match up the teams that are closer skilled with each other. Let me refresh real quick. More adverbs. Yeah, I'm just trying to say if that was Swiss, we can definitely see that the teams that are closer matched with each other are paired up, so we'll see more closer games. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, as we progress into the finals, we're probably gonna see the best of 5 bleed into a really, really long matchup. We're seeing MT pause a lot of times lately because of some ping issues, with IDV being notorious for its terrible placement of servers.
I mean, they're not the only ones with ping issues, seeing that I'm literally struggling a lot. Like just now the stream dropped quality on me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yep. So literally it's just too early in the game that I cannot see what's happening, but let's see. I think here, oh my goodness, why is it the whole night loading? But while we're at it, I'm trying to think here. It's that here the breaking wheel only needs a tie, and let's see their traits. The mechanic, I think that's the mechanic. The mechanic does not have borrowed time, and this would be dangerous endgame because the breaking wheel can always get the snap, and without borrowed time, there's no way to really evade the snap.
Honestly, I don't think their plan was to take mechanic to.
That's a prospector.
Yeah, I don't think their plan was to take prospector.
The prospector
so
does not borrow
mechanic
time.
Does have borrowed time.
Yeah, mechanic does have borrowed time, but can he last it though? Because she only has broken windows to work with. So just going to roll around here, trying to get some chips here, get some chips there. But let's chase for the walling first. But that's not the best idea. Like I would imagine maybe he just wanted to force the walling on the board once. But I don't know if that is worth the time, the hassle he spent, as he's gonna head straight to Kang, who retreated from the cipher slightly slower. There might be a bit of like communication where they did not instantly tell, but Kang does have magnets to work with, so the breaking will have to be very careful in how he position. But instead, he's going to opt for another change target and going to charge back. I'd assume maybe the wildling again, seeing the wildling got off the board and still has a spike on him.
Yeah, honestly, the wildling just needs to get another spike here, but because he's getting stuck on a pallet, it's just better to. Oof. We're actually gonna see Blink be used so early in the game, but that's only to. All that does is actually get that wildling off the board because of the spike. But since he has another one here, if he takes a hit, he will go down.
Yeah,
although without Blink active. Without Blink online, he's forced to either use up another or extend the kite.
Hold on, 3 more seconds. But, oh, nope, there we have it. Walling goes down. Yeah, but, I mean, he wants to chase the Walling down on foot, considering that the Walling actually has a speed deceleration comparing to every other survivor in the game. So that must be what the breaking wheel wanted to abuse there. But currently, if we look at the cipher, because the fact he did not touch the mechanic, this is already... let's see, it's around 2.5 ciphers in the game. And with the mechanic outside, it's definitely possible to play for a tie here. But, oh, going to swap into human form here, snap the Walling off the board. And that's what I was talking about before the game. The breaking wheel is very good against the Walling. And even if the Walling can survive through this pallet, the breaking wheel can always just swap into wheel form to bring the Walling down.
Yeah, and here, at least since the Wildling doesn't have any spike on him right now, he doesn't have to risk as much by stepping onto the trap, although he does fail with the mind games here at the pallet and goes down right in the middle of two-story.
And the ciphers might be enough if the survivors like go for like a whole battling approach, because they do have the prospector to harass.
Yeah.
And currently we can see the prospector is already on the chair or like nearby. I feel like the prospector could have did the trick where he like rescue and let go, rescue and let go, rather than just sitting around here, because this delays the chair time even further.
Yeah, that does delay the chair time, but if we're paying attention to the cipher progress, we're only 60%, we're only 40% missing. If the prospector here can just harass for as long as possible, again, if he could possibly try to get another stun, force the hunter to drop. For as long as possible, he just needs to stall this out. Unfortunately fails.
He was trying to push the hunter back.
And now the prospector will be taking the last... Yeah, he was trying to push the hunter back, but now he's forced to take the last. Nope, the hunter will actually change target towards the gate, only to find no one there.
Let's see.
None of them have actually reached the gate yet.
Yeah, actually, there is one thing to note though. There's one thing to note though, is that no one has the tension in this game, or rather, the hunter does not have the tension in this game. So actually, it's still possible for the survivors to work around this, because the prospector now will have to remove the spike first before coming in, and whoever gets found first can kite for a bit, because like the hunter cannot just take a normal attack on them.
Yeah, but still, now that the prospector has his second spike, he only needs to take one hit, and that's basically the equivalent to this breaking wheel having the tension. Although the other survivor is here and the gate will be opened.
Watch out! They're making for a rival effect! I think they got it, Sin.
Yeah, they got it. They got 3 escape. They actually got it.
Yeah, just now. Now he was too focused on the prospector that he did not realize the survivors, or rather, the survivors rushing that gate. So no exit actually managed to reverse that sin. Like just now, he was too focused on the prospector because he could have just continued to down whoever he saw at the gate. That was what I was trying to say, endgame. Hunter, having no detention, came back to haunt him because he must get 2 spikes, and the survivors can do a lot of things in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly. Like even though full presence breaking wheel only needs to get 1 spike while in wheel form, he still needs to actually detransform and then actually hit them in human form, and that's a lot of time that could have simply be spent by another hunter just simply hitting and moving on with detention.
Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about, hitting and moving on. And he did it, which worked in the favor. Like, the survivors definitely put that a lot well. And I think the hunter's decision to change the Walling may be not the best, because the Walling is the only one with the decoding debuff. Maybe he could have just considered to chase the charge for the mechanic first, and potentially get rid of the bot. And just endgame, focusing on the survivor, but chasing the prospector, the one who can kite him the best, may not be the best move too, because prospectors' magnets are very good against the traps.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, wait, is it working here? Yeah, so with that, this is going to be for NE, like any 1 by time, so NE will be advancing for 2-1, and for Mad Trollers, they're still in the game of 1-2, so it's still anybody's game here. But oh my goodness, then just what a turn of events.
Yeah,
Same?
honestly,
Yeah.
that them being able to get that 3 escape in less than 5 minutes, like specifically for, yeah, I think it was 450 something, is extremely impressive on them, and honestly amazing cipher progress distribution. But again, this is what happens when you don't choose to chase the mechanic early game. You give her free reign over ciphers, and this is exactly what she needs to cipher rush.
Yep, Cyber Rushing Team Comp be at the best. Be at the best here, so yeah, for Breaking Wheel, he's also considered high risk, high reward character. And in this specific game, having Trump card and no detention backfired massively because the thing is that in this meta, having no detention is always like have a potential of backfiring massively. Like we also seen with Hula Baloo players in IJL, the Hula Baloo having no detention endgame also backfires on them too. So yeah, this is one thing we should definitely note while playing Breaking Wheel. And honestly, just no exit managed that so well because they were not in a good position, as they almost had to get a free escape, and they pulled it off with their amazing teamwork and with the Prospector bringing the Hunter away from the gate. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, that match. Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just checking the time. It's 7 minutes 57 seconds and 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
That was a long time, honestly. That's a lot of time to work with. Back then, matches used to last around 8 to 11 minutes. Nowadays, they're only around, like, what, 5 to 7?
Yeah, just that's amazing to watch. But anyways, we're taking a quick break, and we'll see everyone after the break. See you in a bit. Let me figure out where. Yep. Oh wait. Oops. Alright, we're back. So yeah, just moving on just now, we're now heading on to the last match of the day because from what we know, it's PBD versus TSF. Hold on, I'm checking NTT stream to know when to switch. Because from what we know, actually for Team Bun, they opted to drop out of the game, so a tournament. So we only have one more match of now. I'm gonna show the stream. There. For PBD, we have someone in Japanese that cannot read. Have Baby T. I don't know Thai, so I don't know the fourth one. Domus, Aquaria, and more people of Japanese. So Sin, you can do the honors.
Yep, for TSF again, we have PECK, Toy, Yasmerk, Homie, Chen BG, Trapitz, and Nathan Black.
Yep, there we have it. So this is going to be the final match of the day. And from what we know is that these two teams are in a very bad position because this matchup here is a 0-2 bracket. And this only means that whoever loses this match will be eliminated, will be joining WF. Wait, no, I think it's WB. Who will be joining WB and be eliminated from this tournament because they'll be officially 0-3 in terms of brackets and win losses.
Yeah, and for here, next we're actually okay. We're gonna hop into the match, and we're gonna see another Chinatown pick.
Oh, Chinatown, very popular. So you're gonna get banned first. Actually, this map is also a map where the opera singer is very, very particularly strong at. So we'll have to see where, like, opera singer pick is maybe possible because of Hula Baloo sort of fallen out of the BO1 meta. We may be seeing something entirely different, Hunter. But TSS Survivor opting for a interesting approach, going for the Barmaid and the Enchantress, which are strong survivors on their own, but not a character that we normally see first.
Yeah, the thing with Barmaid and for Enchantress is that they're usually second or third picks, not quite first picks, since it's better to choose getting your stable survivors out first. But now we're actually gonna see Puppeteer for their third survivor, which we might see him actually be their rescuer, since out of the current three, he has the most sustainability in terms of actually rescuing. But still, that's a little bit debatable.
Oh, the coordinator works, I guess. I was about to say the Gravekeeper, but I think the coordinator also works just as well, if not better than the coordinator. But yeah, let's see though. The thing with the coordinator is that there's always the risk of getting dodged a flare gun, while the Gravekeeper and characters are more stable when it comes to rescuing. But with this team comp, they definitely do have a faster decoding speed, so let's see what does Domus pick over here. And remember, any team that loses here gets eliminated, so they are going to be giving their all.
Yeah, this is a very dangerous matchup for PPD and for TSF, because if they get eliminated here, there's no more strategies for them to hide for their next round, and then after that, they have to continue winning. So this is probably TSF choosing for comfort picks rather than for a strategy, because we've seen TSF survivors actually tend to lean towards meta, but so far that hasn't worked out for them.
Well, yeah, but if there is one time they want to work, it is now, because Swiss bracket, there will always be the teams that get eliminated first by a 0-3, and they definitely do not want to get eliminated now and lose 3 matches straight into the tournament. So we have our full team comp here, and Hula Baloo will be the choice of PBD here. And Hula Baloo actually is okay against the Enchantress and Coordinator.
Same against the Barmaid, yeah.
Yeah, but Yeah, so in theory, the Hula Baloo does work well, but Hula Baloo definitely fallen out of the meta after I've seen IJL in this tournament. So let's see how does Domus play this one out, because Hula Baloo is definitely weaker, but is still forced to be reckoned with when played right.
Yeah, he's still undeniably a stronger hunter compared to the rest of our hunter pool.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like here Hula Baloo can chase anyone first, but one thing to note is that Puppeteer and Barmaid are both very tanky survivors, so maybe it would be less ideal to chase them first because Hula Baloo wants the first down as soon as possible. But we're gonna be heading into the game straight away, and one thing to note is that the coordinator is the only survivor with Tide Turner in the game, so for whoever that comes to rescue after, they may have a potential risk of getting farmed off the chair.
Absolutely. If like the biggest risk with coordinator that has been for a long time is that she's more so an expendable character rather than one that's fit for long games. And thankfully enough, they did not choose a hunter that tends to drag out time. But still, if that coordinator uses her singular gun wrong, so much could go wrong here.
Well, yes, I mean, so much can go wrong, but for both teams, they really cannot afford to go wrong now. Let's see, Hula Baloo Barmaid possibly will be like he could either choose the excitement chord or warp Barmaid. Like both are definitely possible here. But I'm really wondering what is going to be happen in this game as we're gonna approach the countdown. And remember, whoever loses will be eliminated. They cannot afford to lose here. As I'm your caster, Invisible Jung, and joined by me is Sin. And honestly, like with all these teams and all these like matches being played, it's always like not. It's always feel a bit iffy to say goodbye to the teams. But unfortunately, we will be saying goodbye to one team here today.
One of these teams will definitely be leaving today, so we'll probably be seeing their all. If anything, they'll at least be able to play. They should at least get out their favorite characters or their comfort picks here so that they can play to the best of their abilities.
Now we're going to head into the game. So we're going to be seeing Homie's Enchantress will be taking the first kite. But because of the spawn points, she's relatively far away from the hunter. There's a bit of gap between her and the hunter, but Hula Baloo approaching dangerously close, wanting to aim. Double surprise, gets the first mark, tries again, but unfortunately misses the second mark though. So this does give the Enchantress a bit of kiting room. But one thing to note is that she's currently kiting around two of her teammates' Cypher, so she definitely want to transition away if possible.
Yeah, she takes her first stun here, but now it looks like she's gonna get her first hit because she takes a double mark here, and there she. Oh no, the gun is actually being used really early in the game. But look at the cipher progress. It's not nearly enough for this to be actually a 3-cipher kite if Homie goes down. And Homie goes down to a terror shock here, leaving Hullabaloo at near full presence. By the time she gets rescued, that will be full presence for him, and that will be a dangerous Hullabaloo to mess with.
Yeah, and considering that this is only two ciphers, like only two ciphers has been decoded, this is not a good position. Because I feel like the positioning and the kiting direction of the Enchantress could have been better, considering that she kited near two of her teammates' cipher and got very dangerous early on. But the coordinator did manage a no damage rescue, forcing the Hula Baloo to deal with her for a split second there. So let's see if the Enchantress can make the rebound kite work, because she does have two stacks, so she can potentially try and wait for the third one, but instead she's just gonna opt for the single stack approach.
Yeah, no, she's actually forced to use her single stack there, because otherwise the hunter could have either double marked her there, or he could have just caught up to her manually and given her another ball. With the pallet going down, Unfortunately, the Enchantress takes another terror shock. So she will be going down again right next to Yasmark's Cipher.
Yeah, and the weakness with this team comp is that they have they have like only one borrowed time, or I mean one tide turner rather. So this means that whoever comes to rescue are in risk of getting farmed, but we can see that the survivors actually made a sneak, and actually Barmaid is going to giving the Enchantress the wine, so this might be the game-changing event if the survivors can protect the Enchantress long enough, and currently this Barmaid is just eating up every single of the marks. Enchantress, let's see, one white mark, the wine only have a couple seconds left, can she regen? Domus is getting very hasty here with the double surprise. One more red mark at black mark is not enough, but it gets a terror shock over there because the Enchantress ended up getting too greedy. So that was a very good play at the start, trying to like use the wine and then body block for the Enchantress to regen. But unfortunately, the Enchantress got too greedy, getting a terror shock there, negated that good play entirely, and now the survivors are back in a rough position.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Enchantress was just way too hasty with vaulting that. She could have just waited out with the Barmaid body blocking right behind her, there was no reason for that Enchantress to actually force that vault.
So
However, if we're paying attention to the cipher progress, it's 2 ciphers remaining and one of them is almost done. Regardless of what Hullabaloo does here, at least one of them should pop. Puppeteer is close enough to take over this cipher, and the barmaid is still at full health, even though her drink is locked, which is actually a very detrimental for her.
Well, Flywheel, the survivors are trying to touch that cipher, but can Domus get the barmaid down before the ciphers are primed? That's the major question here. Encore, able to get the down, can get the pickup. Yes, unfortunately for the survivors, they mistimed that.
Mistimed pop.
Yeah, they mistimed that.
But still, if we're paying attention, the Hullabaloo does not have detention.
Yeah, I mean, that's standard for the Hullabaloo to not have detention, but here it seems that his plan is to go and chase down the court instead of the camp, because he knows that if camp, it will always be the puppeteer trying to prop Tinnitus, which will be hard to down him. So now he's looking to down this court down, and is able to get the down. So the court is probably going to get
chair. Yeah, that she'll probably get chaired right in front of the gate right there. This is one of the worst chairs on Chinatown, but that's our fourth terror shock of the match.
Yeah. But the thing though is that we'll still have to see what happens, because the barmaid is the one touching the cipher, but we do not see where the puppeteer is, and I think the puppeteer is trying to make his way back towards the rescue. So the question is here, Domus will be looking to try and down the barmaid before the puppeteer gets close, considering that he also have teleports to work with. So let's see though, Kearney's still not able to touch the chair, but about to be doing so. But he's going to choosing to be teleporting back. I'm not sure if that's the best move necessarily, because no one left is near him, and now the barmaid is open to go back for the gate.
Exactly, and now that he's teleported, there's actually a lot of distance between him and the survivors, and this opens up the chance for a 3 escape if the coordinator can get the support she needs from the puppeteer. If they can pull off a successful body block here, then that does mean this could result in a 3 escape.
Actually, I feel like this is more than likely than a 3 escape if they know where the dungeon is, because like there's a lot of distance, but don't think the core knows where the dungeon is though, because he could have just ran towards the dungeon and made it in time, but instead they're going to opt back for the core to run straight to a puppeteer. But can Domus stop it? Because Kirin, the coordinator, has no marks on her. This double surprise has to count, but misses the first one. It only hits once the second one, and now the puppeteer is in the face. There's one black and one white to protect. Let's see, one red has hit the black. Coordinator has to be very careful in the position. Puppeteer's going to be blocking it, and it blocks it again. This will be a free escape, Sin. Amazing move from the TSF survivors.
Beautifully played by that puppeteer and that coordinator. Her movement there, dodging each of the marks until the puppeteer actually had enough time to get close to her and block that black one for her, was amazing coordination and both amazing individual skill on their part.
Yeah, that's
the barmaid actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very
So you
amazing
continue.
individual skill, but honestly, I would go back to the question if teleporting away was the best move, because the thing with Hula Baloo is that Hula Baloo is always considered weak endgame, because he's not like other hunters where he can stand guard at a chair and the survivors do not dare to come. Because the thing is that Hula Baloo always needs free hits to down the survivor. So if he teleports it away like that, even if he catches, like sees the survivor immediately, he cannot get the down fast in endgame. So it would maybe be better to get the barmaid down over there and then get the chair, then teleport back to the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since the barmaid was already isolated on that side of the map. The advantage that the Hullabaloo has with being such a fast hunter with teleport on such a big map is that there's no way that the other survivors are going to be able to rescue that barmaid in time without running down her chair time or without sacrificing the gate progress.
Yeah, definitely. So this is definitely a bit of bad decision making on the Hula Baloo's part, because he definitely could have tied and then at least aimed for a free escape, but he got a bit too hasty in the end and got too aggressive that he ended up losing focus on how to secure a tie and then fight for a free man. I think his plan was he was trying to potentially stop the puppeteer before he could even pull off the rescue, but with the positioning and how long he's chasing, it would not be easy to do that, because even if you teleport back to the chair, unlike other hunters, the puppeteer can just still go for the rescue, because you need free hits to down the survivor.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the weaknesses for Hullabaloo, and unfortunately we just saw PPD's hunter not be able to quite work around in that weakness in endgame.
Yeah, so now the pressure is back onto PPD's survivors to get a free man escape, which is going to be very tough in Chinatown. But for the last game I said the same things, but no extra survivors ended up managing to pull that off, so maybe this game we will be surprised once again, Sin, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Something different may happen entirely. But for TSF, if they want to tie, they can literally play tie hunters, like their love tie hunters. Opera singer is good at tying. Goatman, if your skill is good at tying. Disciple is good at tying. There's just a lot of tie possibilities, which is what TSF needs for that win, because they only need a tie and they're going to win.
Yeah, this is actually going to be really stable for TSF's position right now. They can opt to choose win-sided hunters, or they can opt to choose tie-sided hunters. But honestly, just to keep it safe, they really should play for strong hunters that can still get wins sustainably, but will probably not be high risk like other hunters are.
Yeah, definitely, because I think playing safe and sound is definitely the more appropriate approach. Seeing that last game we saw with Matt Trollers that the breaking wheel ended up getting free escaped over. So it might be better to choose hunters where you know it's highly likely to get a tie with this team comp. And as for Team PPD survivors, they probably this game need more harassers, because if they choose a no support team comp, then you're relying on at least free Cypher Kite, or else there'll be no way to reverse a bad early kite.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we're gonna end up seeing here, we might see a Disciple or any other strong tie hunters, maybe even Night Watch.
Yeah, I mean anything's possible, because we do not know what these characters have trained and all. And looking back, it's just unfortunate for the Hula Baloo that he got too greedy and lost sight, because I also saw a similar game in IJL, is that in this meta, if Hula Baloo gets too greedy, there might be a possibility he gets backfired, because Hula Baloo actually now does not like getting support and harassed by the survivors team. But while we're at it, we are going to be heading into the screen of potentially the last game, because if PBT survivors get a free escape, they're gonna head into overtime. But we're seeing Seer and Mechanic as the first two pick of this round. Or seeming to have a different approach.
We're actually,
Maybe.
yeah, we might not see a Seer, but we're probably gonna see a Mechanic because again, the typical strategy whenever we've seen the strategies for these teams, and their typical strategy whenever they need a tie is to go for a Mechanic.
Yeah, Mechanic. Well, for the Mechanic, we do not know just yet, but Antiquarian being selected too. Yeah, PBD, they probably want to do the same thing that No Exit Hunter did on them, though. They do have the Antiquarian and the Magician to potentially reverse a bad early game. But, Antiquarian reversed a bad early game, but Magician and First Officer, the issue of this team comp is that Disciple actually is good against this team comp, or like it's sufficient enough to try and play for a tie. Because the thing is that
Absolutely.
Antiquarian and Officer gets countered by Disciple. For the Magician, actually Magician is decent against the Disciple after they buffed him, but I'm not certain if it's decent enough to like free Cypher kite it. And for Mechanic is also good against the Disciple with the Mechanic bot and all, but considering that TSF only needs a tie, he can also just select Disciple and target the Mechanic at all.
Yeah. That's a viable option, and again, unless these survivors can pull a miracle with their individual skill, this team still is relatively weak to a Disciple.
Yeah, but let's see. If not Disciple, what else? Apart from the standard hunters, Breaking Wheel maybe works here, and what on Earth?
Actually, hold on. This might make sense because of his ability to zone out the First Officer. The First Officer doesn't have the distance ability like Wildling, Gravekeeper, or Mercenary does. Neither does he have the same mobility as Forward. So, yeah, that's a really big weakness of the First Officer. While he's good while circling the chair, getting there is the main problem. And against the Mad Eyes, that'll be really difficult. Same issue with Antiquarian.
Okay, first of all, Chinatown is not a map where the Mad Eyes is particularly strong at. And second of all, I like in the previous two rounds, I don't think their hunter played Mad Eyes, and pulling Mad Eyes out now in a game where he only needs a tie is a very daring move, because Mad Eyes is also a high risk, high reward character, because it's possible to get 4 escaped, because Mad Eyes is very weak once endgame approaches, so this is a very risky move considering he only needed a tie. But him selecting this now must mean he's very confident, and this is an entirely different hunter sin, something that I don't think anyone expected.
Yeah, absolutely not. I wasn't expecting a Mad Eyes to show up, but since he has chosen this spawn, I do think he's absolutely gonna go for the Mechanic first. The real question is he gonna try to go for a hit on either Antiquarian or First Officer before going to Mechanic, or will he go for a beeline straight to her?
The thing is that for Mad Eyes, we have to see what happens, because there are a couple of different Mad Eyes playstyles. Some of those like to just use walls to down a survivor. Some of them like to chase first. And then control. Some of them like to chase while using walls to control. Like, there are just too many different playstyles that we won't even know before the game what is Toyo's Mad Eyes playstyle. But I am very excited because this is a very unprecedented pick here, Thin. And it really just brings back a lot of Koa vibes with the Mad Eyes and all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I'm just excited to see how exactly TSF is gonna play off this Mad Eyes because, yeah, like you mentioned, the high risk, high reward and the various playstyles of the Mad Eyes, we could see a more aggressive Mad Eyes, or we could see a more defensive style with all of the walls being used to block off ciphers.
Oh, alright, we're gonna be
Okay,
heading
right
into the
off the bat,
game, yep.
right off the bat, we're gonna see the Mad Eyes try to block off as many ciphers as possible, or try to close off survivors from running away. Middle to hotel is actually blocked off now.
Yeah, but the thing is that with all the walls the Mad Eye has been placing on the field, he's currently not able to get any chips onto it, which is not an ideal situation. And because the mechanic also already safely dropped her bots down, so now that the decoding speed is going to be increased, and using the walls to control can only do you so much if you cannot get any down, which is why he's chasing the Antiquarian, but the Mad Eyes have no ability to help him in like chase faster. The one good news though is that he managed to caught both the mechanic and the bot, so this might be a very good situation as now the mechanic is in danger of getting a hit.
Yeah, due to some miscommunication, most likely, the Antiquarian led the hunters straight to the mechanic here. Use of flywheel, unfortunately, that is not enough since the flywheel doesn't lead her to any pallet. Completely ignoring that pallet, choosing to go to a better kiting area.
Oh,
Although this is much closer to a console and much closer to another survivor here, she will go down and there's barely any cipher progress. There's only one cipher that's decoded and the rest are under 50.
uh-oh, this will be a basement Mad Eyes, which is going to be a nightmare to rescue out of. I think that the Baby T's mechanic over there was not being cautious enough of which position she was in, that she ended up, while protecting the bot, brought her main body in danger there. So now this is Mad Eyes game because the Mad Eyes can just slowly feel control. We do see the first officer making a rescue straight away, and goes for the blink drop down here, wants to get to like a double down, but unfortunately still able to pull that one off. That's a very like aggressive gameplay that could have paid off if
Tries
it worked.
to go for another one and does actually get the drop down hit. Now let's see if he can actually find the first officer and get the drop. No, he's not gonna do that. He's instead gonna make sure he doesn't lose sight of the mechanic here because of Tide Turner.
Yeah. The right now it's still the Mad Eyes game because he can just slowly like block off all the ciphers and all. And the first officer is sort of confined. We see the Antiquarian coming in, but it's very easy for the Mad Eyes to deal with it by using a wall. But hold on, Antiquarian actually made it in, but the Antiquarian has nowhere to run over there. It's going to take a hit, and now the Antiquarian will have to consider if she wants to continue to harass or get away, because if she goes down, then this is going to be almost equivalent to game.
Mm-hmm. But if we're looking at the cipher progress, oh no, it's still nowhere near enough. As one cipher pops, you're gonna go down to 3 ciphers, but even once the other 2 high progress ciphers pop, we'll still be at 1 cipher remaining.
Oh, but there's a very smart use of the walls, blocking off the Antiquarian while making sure she can share at the same time. And currently, the cipher progress, there's one very high remaining in progress, and currently the Magician is the only one left to come and rescue because the Antiquarian is like confined here but cannot necessarily come, so that's why we see the mechanics bot also coming in to have a double rescue situation. But would that pay off? Because Mad Eyes chair camping is very strong here, as that wall's gonna block everyone off. So the bot is gone, but now the Antiquarian pulls off the rescue, and let's see, can the Antiquarian protect the mechanic long enough? But nope, Mad Eye's gonna go for the wall block, and now the mechanic has nowhere to run. That's the walls of despair for the mechanic, but misses the swing, and now the Antiquarian is in here too. So the Mad Eyes will have to be very careful now because he cannot focus on this mech for too long.
Yeah, and unfortunately he blocks him. This seems like he just blocked himself away from the mechanic. He's just gonna give up on her and go for the Antiquarian. But is this the best choice? She still has her jump, and there we go. She's now on the other side of this area, completely safe.
Yeah, and one thing that I note is that it seems that this Mad Eyes is more insistent on using like raw foot to chase instead. And we're actually going to be approaching endgame now, and Sin, I don't know about you, but I'm even questioning this man as even get a one man, because at this point of time he has no detention at all, and the Antiquarian is the only one that's in danger of being down. But even if the Antiquarian goes down, this is her first chair, and the Magician still has Tide Turner.
Yeah, if Antiquarian goes down near the dungeon or near the gate, this is still very large opportunity for a 4-man escape.
Yeah, right now, and look, the Antiquarian already got a syringe from the chest, so she's now healing herself back up.
This is actually the highest chance we're gonna see here is it's gonna be a 4-man, although they might have to wrestle a little bit with the Mad Eyes to actually get the gates open.
Yeah. The thing is that the walls drop much quickly to the gate, and even if the Mad Eyes go to the gate, considering that all 3 survivors here can take a hit, this is going to be very hard for the Mad Eyes, and the first officer still has a whole pocket watch to work with too. And there's just only so much field controlling that a Mad Eyes can do, because the walls drop much faster unless he can get the Magician down. But I just feel like the wall placements from this Mad Eyes is a bit inaccurate.
Yeah, the wall placements aren't exactly helping him out here. Most of them are just completely missing, and the gate is already open right in front of him. Both of them are actually. So if the survivors can just get at least two of them out, that's game. If the first officer leaves now, even if the Antiquarian goes down, they can just have Magician rescue instead. Or they can have Mechanic double rescue with Magician.
Yeah, probably double rescue would be better, but currently the Magician is actually stuck at a weird spot, and yeah, it's kind of stuck at a weird spot though. Double rescue, or rather triple rescue, but let's see though. He actually wants to get the swing off, but hold on, the Magician actually pulled off the rescue amongst all this chaos, so this might actually be the 4-man. There are no more energy left, like there's the last energy, and that's no more, so this will be a... Wait, hold on, would this be? Antiquarian, everyone? Yep, there will be a 4-man escape. So honestly, just back to the point, is Mad Eyes really the best play? Because Mad Eyes, if played wrongly, does not even have a 1-man elimination.
Yeah, the thing about Mad Eyes is that his start was rough, being unable to get even a single chip on the survivors while they were on the ciphers. Not only that his tactic of zoning off the ciphers was just not working out as well as he had intended it to.
So now with that, congratulations goes to PPD for winning the match, and for TSF, unfortunately for them, this will be the end of the line as they're going to be eliminated. And yeah, while the Mad Eyes is a really rare hunter, really, was it really the best play here? Because we also seen that he did not really get a lot of chips on with his walls, and also I feel like there may be better picks. But anyways, for PPD, they really played the 4-man escape very well, from positioning, dodging all the walls, and also recovering from the Mechanic going down, and with the Antiquarian coming to harass.
Absolutely. I think the game-changing point here was when they stole the momentum from the Mad Eyes with that rescue. That Antiquarian and that double rescue with the bot and all of the harassing from the Antiquarian came in really clutch here, because without that, the Mechanic would have been unable to rebound.
Yeah, definitely. The Antiquarian definitely came in clutch over there. So, back to the game here. It's going to be 6-3. PPD managing a 4-man escape. So yeah, PPD is gonna stay alive, but they still have a long way to go, because they have to win the next two, both of the games, in order to advance. So they still definitely have a lot to fight off. While we're at it though, so yeah, like 1-2 for PPD. So they still have a lot of pressure, because they're looking to try and win the next two matches. next two matches, and considering how stacked this tournament is, they definitely have a long fight. But if they can win the next two matches, then they're going to make in the bracket by a 3-2. Sin?
Yeah, sorry. My Wi-Fi was staggering a little bit. I think
Well,
that's just me, but my audio was cutting in and out.
we all have technical issues, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, technical issues. Anyways, yeah, I was just talking about how PBD has a long way to fight, and as for TSF, I'm questioning back if the
Mm-hmm.
Mad Ice was the best decision. But there we have it, the match results of today. The Wolfgang 7-2 Gao, no exit, won overtime against Mad Trollers. PBD 6-3, and for Team Bun, because of Team WB dropping out, so Team Bun automatically advances. So this
Mm-hmm.
means that both TSF and WB have been officially eliminated from the tournament, as we had 16 teams, and now we only have 14 teams remains.
Yep, and that's it for today's matches actually. Those were some really entertaining matches considering especially with some of the significant moments here tonight. We saw a lot of interesting picks from Hermit to Mad Eyes to Ripper. A lot of comfort picks came out, honestly.
Yeah, so this is going to be a quick reminder of everyone on the brackets. WYS and Sky advance, WB and TSF have been eliminated, and after like all the battles, we're going to be having 6 teams on the 2-1 bracket and 6 teams on
Mm-hmm.
the 1-2 bracket. So I imagine moving on, this is going what we're going to be seeing for the battles. Is for these the 2-1-1-2 to get resolved and see who would be the next team that they're doing the bracket draws here now. So
Oh, let's see this.
yeah. Reminds me of me doing the bracket draws at my tournament, and I literally just use a wheel to spin, and then I also play the song called 好运来.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, because the thing is for 2-1 we're gonna have FCMN, CC, HLT, ES, WG, and NE. For 1-2, we're going to be having PPD, Bond, 2GT, LS, GAO, and MT. Yeah, so with 2 advanced, 2 out, and 12 teams are still in the battle. So, I think they're done drawing.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, but currently like, I cannot see them, so I'll wait for them to update it. And actually, I think once the Swiss stage is over, they're going to advance to the quarter. They're gonna advance to like the single elimination bracket. But yeah, the good thing of 3-0 is that write your story and Sky are literally just eating popcorn right now.
yeah, right now all they have to do is sit back and wait for the other matches to continue up before they get their next match.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm just like Swiss stage is actually a very interesting tactic because the good thing is that we actually do have a lot of teams amongst battling each other. But I guess the downside is that there will be like potentially a lot of matches to deal with.
Yeah, Swiss stage is really more optimal when it comes to smaller teams, but also it spices things up when we get to see a lot of teams go up against each other with significantly based more on skill and merit.
Yeah, with that, then we won't like see like a lot of one-sided matches. For round robin, there is the issue of if like a group gets so stacked that it's not even funny.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Look, I'm talking about you, Koa and Achao. I'm looking at you, Achao. Literally at Koa 6 and Koa 7, the groups were, there was always one group that's so stacked that had like 4 Chinese teams and 1 Japanese team. And I was like, bruh, that's not funny. Oh, we have it. HLT versus No Exit, CC versus FCMN, and ES versus WG. So the winners of these matches are going to advance as 3-1. And there are 3 teams that will drop down to 2-2. And for the lower brackets, we have MT versus LS, Gao versus Bun, and 2GT versus PBD. As 3 teams will be eliminated in this stage, and 3 teams will survive till the final. The final battle.
Yep.
Yeah, like there's still a lot to go through, but honestly, currently with BO1 we're not seeing a lot. But I'm more excited to see BO3 because with global bans of hunters, this is where I imagine teams will be more careful in what they're pulling out.
Absolutely. We're going to have to see teams pre-planning and preparing for their next one, as well as making plans, making like more better plans for reserving survivors for certain maps, or having to choose specific team comps dependent on the maps again because of the global bans.
Oh yeah, definitely. Global bans is going to be very key here. Oh yeah, this is another reminder of how the brackets will be as they're going to separate the 3-0, 3-1, and 3-2s, and every match here on will be single elimination. And yeah, this is a reminder of the playoff teams, as currently only 2 teams, Read Your Story and Sky, have advanced. But don't worry, there will be 6 more teams joining them, as the 3-1s and the 3-2s are going to be coming in.
Yup.
Alrighty. So yeah, this is almost the end of today, but yeah, we actually seen a lot of good matches. Yeah. But hold on, I'm gonna swap back to us for now.
Yeah, in regards to today's matches, unfortunately, even though we didn't get to properly show the audience what happened with that Wax Artist match, I think that match was one of my favorite, because especially with how that toy merchant kited, because we have seen a lot of wacky hunter picks this time, but aside from Team Gao, we haven't really seen any teams stray from the Survivor meta aside from that toy merchant pick.
I mean, considering that we also seen Doctor being selected and Mad Ice being selected, at this point I would not be surprised if someone decides to pull out a Hell Ember.
A Hell Ember would be very scary if this was like a pro Hell Ember, but that depends.
Oh, speaking about pro Ember, I saw Kai, like there was a tournament player, Kai D, in my tournament that played it. And yeah.
How did it go?
No, he got some very decent results because he was actually known as a like Hell Ember main, S-Batch Hell Ember and all. And literally it got so terrifying that teams had to ban his Hell Ember. So never the day we get to see Hell Ember being at the banned list, huh? Yeah. Well, this I guess wraps up the end of today, but we still have a lot of matches to go through audience, so make sure to stay tuned, everyone. Wait, let's see who is in the chat right now. Oh, hello, yes, so sorry I cannot pronounce Thai, so yeah. I cannot pronounce, oh no, that's Vietnamese. I cannot pronounce Vietnamese. Because
yeah, unfortunately, the only other non-Latin alphabet that we can read is Chinese, and that's mostly you.
Wait, Sin, where are you from?
Oh, I'm Filipino.
Yeah, yep. and I'm from Hong Kong, so obviously we cannot read Vietnamese or Thai.
Yeah. Neither can we read Japanese or Korean, so let's just hope. We do have one team that has a bunch of Japanese in their name, but we're just gonna have to call them by their characters.
We'll just cross the bridge when we hit it. Haha. Yeah, so everyone, I guess that wraps up for today because their stream has ended as well. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all I don't know when the weekday I'll restream day 5, but yeah, I'll see you by then. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.